It's me, Gideon. This is Abstract. This is Leo. Take it away, boys.
Okay, so just to answer Gideon's question, I'm going to say VP.
VP. Okay, great. Because we are going to be on the opposite sides then.
Ooh.
I'm a rage guy. I'm pretty sure that they should be able to bring something in onto the board. I think with that aggression, like literally the aggression, their name has the word rage in it. Fury literally came up with that name because he's angry all the time kind of thing.
Is that true?
Apparently, based on what was written, he's angry. That's why he got that out.
One angry amigo.
Honestly, I don't know why that is gonna be the case. What's he angry with? What's up with him?
So you're a rage guy.
I'm a rage guy, even though I don't think I'm a very angry guy, but I'm like the rage guy.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure Coach Blackjacks would appreciate the confidence.
Hello, good evening.
Good friend
Hello kay Rainier.
Talents from Latam, bro, he's here, he's watching. Would appreciate.
Ano muna, MSC wildcard muna. I-stream natin.
They got my boy, the Nightmare Andoryu, who has not let us down. It's his first time playing as an import for a far-flung region in ECA. So I want to see how that works out for him. Coach Fly Solo at the lead here against Coach Blackjacks. Rage on the play, banning out the Fanny, and they're attacking Andoryu again, sir.
And then, okay, the last one is not on Andoryu.
Si Andoryu nandito, guys.
And
Sa
then Coach
BP.
Fly Solo banning out the Kalea, that is a Paquito special, a Baksha, and then one more. This is the Farsa. It's got to be the Farsa.
It's got to be the first. Honestly, okay, I really like to identify like a little bit patterns from what they have played before. So far, when it comes down to VP, they have consistently, out of those two games, right? Consistently banned out Farsa as well as the Kalia, and that is one of the main reasons why I will say that Paquito definitely would not have the chance to play his Kalia, right? But in the meantime, I thought that VP might have the free pass on getting the Kimi, but it doesn't.
Good evening, Japet.
Influence Rage definitely saw something coming in from Bober, because I would have assumed that he would get the guaranteed Kimi, as out of the 3 games from Influence Rage, they didn't even bother about Kimi at all.
They're forcing Bober on the Farsa, man, and it's so odd why VP did not ban the Farsa. Instead, they banned the Badang. They did not. Yesterday, picked it nor banned it. This does open up Influence Rage to play the 1-1. This is a win for Fury yesterday, a loss in the first game, but he is trying to make up for it. Now, VP, what does open up for them? Still left out would be the Yusun Shin and the Uranus. Oh, no, Uranus got banned.
Uranus got banned.
Never mind. Ooh.
So the triple
Pressure.
marksman kind of thing is not going to be possible anymore, considering that the Kimi has already been taken out. This has been piloted by VP with great success just now. In fact, almost every single one of these series that came into to today's wildcards, we have seen triple marksmen.
Whoa, as we doubt it, as we wonder, Bober, where's the Farsa? Here it is. Here it is, opening up with the Granger again. Oh, reliable.
Okay.
Although, Abstract, to be honest, this combo here, the Farsa Granger lost in the hands of Falcons in the series prior, right? So it's not an auto win. Like, you still have to make this work.
Okay. So there is definitely still a lot more that they're gonna have to identify what is going to be their direction going up against Influence Rage, with the fact that they love to play in the early games, right? So perhaps getting heroes that are generally great in the laning phases are always fun to watch out for. EXP laners, with the fact that Uranus is already out, we actually still have Glue available onto the board, which we haven't seen played out. Phovius definitely came into the mix a couple of times as well, and that's not banned. I would have assumed that Lapu Lapu would be priority, as both teams actually do prefer that similar playstyle.
So now the question, does Badkot pick up the Phovius now? Because if he doesn't, best believe he's going to get banned out in the second phase by Influence Rage. What do they pick here in the third slot, first phase? Do you give the hero to Andoryu? Do you give Badkot something? We don't see the hero on Pluto just yet. What's left out there for the roamer of Virtus Pro? This is a very strong first phase for Rage, I'll tell you that now, even if, they answer the 1-1 with the Farsa and, win the 50-50 against the Granger. I'm wondering, there it is, there's the Phovius.
There we go.
Again, the 1-1 alone should be enough to tell you that you can pick the Phovius.
Yep, so they are definitely going to be happy picking that up, right? So as we move on to the next part, let's identify, right? EXP laners for both teams are done. Gold laners are done. It's just that VP is lacking a jungler and a roam, while Rage also lacking a roam and a single mage. So roam is probably going to be one of the top prio then, with Badang is already out. I do want to look for some pick-off roamers.
Pick-off roamers like a
Cho, Franco,
Jawhead. It's been a
Jawhead.
while.
Yeah, it's been a long time actually.
There's the Nana. Virtus Pro, Coach Fly Solo doing his homework, reading into Chan's hero pool. No sir, not here.
Is that what others? So far when it comes down to Chan,
Zetian is still out.
Yes,
open.
Zetian is still out.
So that definitely should be the ban here for Virtus Pro in this last slot. If not, then that would be questionable. Like, why would you allow for that easy answer to the feathered airstrike?
That's true. Yeah, the final ban definitely gotta go to the Zetian,
95%
right?
should be the Zetian.
It has to be the Zetian. Considering the fact that Lapu has already been taken as well, right? Even they themselves have...
I-heart rock nyo may stream natin. Tsaka i-share nyo na rin, guys.
For themselves to kind of cancel out that feathered airstrike. Well, that's not gonna be the case anymore. So leaning towards the Zetian.
Guys, dito tuloy-tuloy yung yung game.
Roam slots get tighter. Oh my!
They didn't ban it.
Zushin instead. So Rage, I'd say the numbers swing the other way. 95% they should pick the Zetian here.
Okay.
Because VP's not picking it.
They can't pick that.
They already have the Farsa. Interesting. So what does Rage take? One more roam choice? That also effectively reduces their hero pool. Because already no Badang.
No Badang, no Gatot. It's all left with pick-off heroes or...
capable of playing an Arlet roam. They did yesterday.
Arlet roam.
They put the
utility style.
Arlet roam.
I mean, they can, considering that they have a... I mean, there is a 1-1 on the other side.
Okay, so they take away the Lancelot. What does this leave for Andoryu? Andoryu has a Hayabusa. Not ideal to run into a Fredrin.
No.
The Ling. No use.
Not for me.
Oh wait, Yushin Shin's available.
Oh, he slipped all the way through.
Impressive.
If they want to play the
I mean, it doesn't do much against
the Fredrin,
but I mean, it's better than
nothing.
It's better than in my book right now in the current game. It's better than the Ling, better than the
Wala ba
Haya,
nagko-comment?
especially up against the Fredrin.
I don't think that they will go for Roger since Roger has already made it.
Oh!
Minotaur.
This is the Minotaur debut again. As we were saying, the roam choice pickings are so slim right now, especially with the ban on the Baksha, the Badang, the Kalia, and the Gatot.
Okay.
You come down to the Minotaur. What does this leave for Rage? Wait, is that does Pluto not like Cho? I mean, it's hard to Cho, look, because there's two bad kick targets, and then one that literally you just cannot kick.
Exactly. Pickoffs might be hard, yeah.
Wow.
Ninong Marbs, good morning. Silent viewer ka.
It's been a long time.
Ayaw mo chumika.
It's been a long time, but to be fair, it does kind of make sense. It goes towards the way that they want to play, right? For VP, they want to play all in, kind of death ball in. As long as they have good peel, it all should be fine.
Si Gadita.
Debut picks his fourth.
Oh wow!
Kadita or Kadita?
Yesterday he played Zetian, Nana, and Farsa. Now he brings out the Kadira, comboed with Paquito's Franco. We now have a Latino Franco. Not a Mongolian Franco, now it's a Latino Franco.
This is kind of a scary pickup composition coming in from Rage. Not only would you guarantee some of these weakness procs from the side of
Walang kwenta na ngayon ML, marami na mga pro ang nagsialisan.
Okay.
Hayaan nyo lang sila, guys.
Have the Yusunshin in the hands of Andoryu. These hooks and these waves aren't as out of nowhere because you still have the Mount Shocker. You still check where dudes are coming from.
Yep.
But those are two solid pickoffs that you don't know. You can't always just rely on the Mount Shocker. So Virtus Pro have to play with eyes behind their backs. Behind their heads. They have to...
Pa-shout out po here in Hungary. Europe. Hello, Kihana Richard. Paano ba bagitin yung Hungary?
I'm not too sure about the Minotaur. Feels like
Hingin ng skin kahit Starlight lang daw. Matatad lang tayo ng MSC wildcard ngayon. Pagka madaming chumika at tumambay, pwede tayo mamigay. Wala nakayad yung keyboard.
I'm looking forward
Wait.
to Chan versus Bober. This kind of feels like this is a match against the
Game
both of them,
1.
considering the
Nandito
fact
si
that,
Andorio guys sa
having a
Virus
Vegeta
Pro.
is a really good answer against the Forza.
Wala ba Onyx dyan? Wala pa sa group stage pa ang Onyx guys. Ano pa, July 23 pa.
On a grand scale, was in the playoffs of MCC and he lost.
Yeah.
So now we have to really meticulously pay attention
Joshua,
to how he plays.
bakit?
This is the emblem build. If you're wondering like what's fit for
Core Franco, no?
Minotaur right now is
Okay.
to get out of the range of influence rage. Yes, there now, but no, it's not a support.
Mika
emblem.
dito guys gumamit.
Huh. Okay, so he just wants to be the pillar then in this case.
Lyra,
It's a
hello.
small little amount of healing that just kind of gets them around, right?
A
You know,
little extra.
keeps them.
Parang ang ano,
it's a
ang-
bonus, right? Not going around it.
Parang
but
ang
it's
labo.
just a bonus, good to have. So with that all said and done, Virtus Pro, I do want to see just how tanky this Minotaur can realistically be. Well, in the meantime, Andorio is just going to be starting things out over to the side of Jordan. But oh, Jordan, he will go down despite having the appraiser's ref land straight onto Boba.
Abstract. Bober played possum. He's like, oh look, I'm gonna die.
For me, it's their choice na mag-explore ng bagong game, sabi ni Ninong Mars. Salamat po. Salamat mo. Ganda boses mo, sabi ni Romulo. Uy, Ate Kling, ikaw pala yan. Nandyan ka.
Upper quarter, impressive work again. If Virtus plays well with
Baka ano lang. Maganda na kasi yung mic ko, guys. Kaya maganda yung boses ko.
I honestly really thought that he,
the metric system.
it's a bit. Can we go Imperial? Honestly, I really thought that he will be able to heal a little bit more out of that Appraiser's Wrath. But I guess level 1 Appraiser's Wrath doesn't really get you back too much. But in the meantime, it does seem like we do have the turtle currently in the hands of Influence Rage. They are still trying to fight for this. While in the meantime, Minotaur's Rage lands onto 2
Uy,
persons.
nakunay ka dito yung turtle.
What did Hodun just managed to almost get Pluto down. But in this case, Virtus Pro, they're going to be fine. They didn't lose anything. It is a 1 trade for the turtle.
Alright,
Huli.
so they're still going, and this is Bad got taken down. Petrify spent by Chan. Painful.
Sir Alvin
that
J,
Virtus Pro
hello
still found a way to
po.
overextend, but it's clear that when they lost the turtle, there was a mountain shock.
Mas
prior to
matino
that.
daw server ng Europe
Andorio
kesa
knew
sa
he was gonna
Pinas.
beat the turtle.
Bakit?
So at least they just went for the turn. They took down Chino. but
Hindi kasi
now
marunong
it's
mag-alaga
painful
si
because Influence
MPL at
Rage are
Montun.
gaining
Pero
ground.
lagi
They
ang
could have not gained
iniisip
ground. They could
nila.
have played the defensive,
Pera
but now
lagi.
instead, they give a
Ah.
little bit of economy to Influence Rage, affording Chan an early Sky Piercer. That's his
Aha,
first kill.
Damn. Honestly, with the almost getting the hit, but it did definitely force.
Wala daw sila pakialam sa mga influencer at streamer sa kung tutusin. Nagsikat ang ML dahil sa mga influencer at streamer. Kung wala sila pang karaniwan na lang ang ML na.
Paquito's still alive.
Almost them. Paquito left with just a sliver. Even when it comes down to the lethal elimination, it's just not quite enough to pop him off.
So the laning continues again. 3.5
Sayaan na lang
minutes
natin
in,
sila guys
just a
kung
little
gusto
bit of
nila
change.
lumipat.
Pluto coming in to assist Super Igorka on this crab take. So gold lane, one could say, is down pat, controlled by Virtus Pro. XP lane though, I don't think. All right,
I think
they
it's
both
kind
have,
of a wet noodle fight.
yeah, they both have 1 kill and like neither can deal lethal damage to the other.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that Phobius does have pretty nutty damage the moment you are able to continuously just land your ults, but going up against a Lapu-Lapu...
Uy, nasa white din si Sir Alvin J.
Wow.
Buhay pa yung points niya dyan. Ngayon lang kasi ulit ako nag-stream sa white.
Right there, Chan finds himself in the top spot, but surprisingly, it does seem like we are going to be looking at a small little trade. Pluto lost his life while Chan is going to lose his life as well. Not a good trade for the side of Influence Rage.
That's right, but this does buy them better positioning. Once more, turtle number 2 goes over to the Latam reps here in the wild card. I like how they're throwing bodies. They know that the math does not add up to Virtus Pro, and Hotun now in the early game can still take hits from Andorio. So while now he can stand his ground, he's going to use that advantage and take objectives with it.
So even though, even if Virtus Pro seemingly have a better trade because the opponent no longer have a mage, they can actually try to fight for ground, but they're not really too interested
Takot ng
in
Parsa
that.
na.
since it's mostly about the jungle versus jungle matchup, right?
Yep. The fact that Chan wasn't there did not do anything to change the interaction between Hotun and Andori. Andori's not ready yet. Pluto here, about to get caught.
186 points na si Ninong Marbs. Baka pumunta kami dito sa EWC pag semis or finals. Ayaw nga pala, nandyan ka nga pala, sir. Shoutout mo ako pagka natapatan ka ng camera.
Oh, Badcot's still going.
I don't think so.
Crossing over to the second team.
Hopdi, oy, buntik na.
In. Does not want to take any prisoners.
Oh!
Clipped right by the edge of the boat.
All right. It was Chino who flickered out. So they understood that Badcott meant business. This is a man on a mission. And now it makes more sense. They were going for that mid lane at tier 1. This allows for the map to expand even more for Virtus Pro. And apparently, these turtle trades for Influence Rage aren't adding up.
Not at all.
Abstract, they're down 2,000.
Yeah.
Minimum 3,000 now.
Virtus Pro, they are on a tear. In fact, managing to bring down the T1 turrets in the bottom lane as well, effectively takes down all of the T1. Free real estate right here for Virtus Pro. They can involve themselves into the opponent's jungle however they want, but they gotta have to focus on next objective, meaning the third turtle.
Okay, a tear is an understatement. I think we're downplaying how good Virtus Pro's power spike is going into this third turtle. What is this now? 3,000, 4,000 gold?
I think
twice as many kills as Influence Rage? And the fact that Fury is so vulnerable compared to Super de Gorka. Maybe not now, but when Super Gorka has his flicker, Fury has to pick his fight very specifically. I mean, no one
Two-man flying up into the sky, and
Really?
Yodun is going to be doing this very well. But in the meantime, a quick little suppress just to ensure that Yodun will be going down alongside with Pakido. While the rest of Virtus Pro, they are just going to go in, and they broke through like an Olympic diver. All 5 of Influence Rage taken down.
He raged and raged into the night, and they all went on a nap. Influence Rage gets wiped out. And look, since Andori was traded out for 5, Virtus Pro said, okay, we won't go for the turtle. It's not as important.
Ano mga bansa yan maglalaban? Latin America, tsaka... Saan ba yung Virtus Pro?
Although, interestingly enough,
Russia ba yan?
They might actually lose tier 1 there. Oh, there it is.
Small little problem, small trades. For the fact that the 5 members of Influence Rage is down, we're looking at 5,000 gold deficit for Influence Rage. And when it comes down to the jungle matchup, Odin is currently at level 10 as opposed to Andoryu at level 12.
There it is.
Level difference.
So the utility jungler advantage is gone. It's no longer so easy for Influence Rage to say, let's batter ourselves into Virtus Pro, because now Virtus Pro hurts. Even Chan has to take care of himself.
Tama ba?
Easy Lord take here for Virtus Pro. Andori didn't even need the retribution.
Google ko na lang. Google na lang natin.
You're gonna have to be real careful though, because this is still kind of a pick-off comp from the side of Influence Rage. They can't, Virtus Pro can't simply just throw caution into the wind. Something that's as tanky as Pluto, as a Minotaur, can
Hindi yata Latin American influence.
easily.
Luckily, this pickoff can come from many
check
different ways. The hook, the bite, and maybe, close call there. And maybe off of Chan's initiation, because Chan just picked up a Divine Blade.
Russian Pinay yung core. Oo, si Andoryu yung core galing sa Smart Omega.
Is it enough to put stacks on him? Because he only has 1 stack so far.
Honestly, I think you're out of something. Virtus Pro, they are definitely gonna have a very heavy front line. And of course, with the backline's damage, look at that! The feathered airstrike is literally an artillery from downtown, and Chan just got sniped by Andoryu. All of 3 of Influence Rage suffered massive casualty, leaving Gino and Pakido.
And they're already inside the base. Chino forced the flicker back. Super de Gorka flickering forward to try and take down more of his prey. And I think they smell blood in the water. The bears of Virtus Pro want more.
As such, another one of these feather airstrike will be able to get the Pakido as well as the Chino down. And Influence Rage unfortunately suffers the first
Taga saan yung team ni Pluto?
9:55, all it took for Virtus Pro to take game number 1 clean. And here we were.
Bilis 9 minutes.
Maybe it's just a secret weapon. Maybe it's just
Dito mo. La, bakit black ay yung chat ko?
That's exactly what they are trying to do, right? Throw a curveball at us. Hey, look, I
Hindi
don't
kita yung
play
chat ko,
Farsa
guys. Bakalatan ko.
only until we
May Sky Merchant.
That's some long-term conning right there. That's like it's like The Prestige as directed by Christopher Nolan, starring V. Hugh Jackman.
At this point in time, he's committed, dude. He's
just
so
like-
committed.
Momento. Not yet.
Hold it. Cook a little while longer.
Impressive work.
Damn.
And that is
Oh, damn.
100% win
Yung
rate.
blonde taga-Russia ba yan?
It's a
Yung
win
blonde.
for the Minotaur, the debuting Minotaur.
Yeah, so that is, I mean, technically, yes, you're right. 100% win rate for now.
Sure, I was just saying, like, I'm so impressed that it came out from out of nowhere. And it
It worked.
won.
It worked. I mean, did it really work? Or is it just, the whole team as an identity that worked together?
Chat
I
box.
think Minotaur worked.
I'd like to think it's a little bit of both because
little
there are a lot of times, especially in the early game, where in
Wait na ba
the
yung chat
motivation
box?
roar was
MSC
enough
pala yan. Sigurado
to
diamonds
heal
ng
up
price, hindi
so that
pagkain.
members,
Kill range.
yes, to take him out of kill range.
MSC,
to have him
mataas
get the
price pool ng
movement speed
MSC.
boost enough to get in or out of range. And I think that big ticket
Sa
for the
NA yung
Minotaur is
Dias
really,
yung
like,
ano,
how do you
premyo,
respond
guys.
to mass CC like that?
I mean, only Chino can realistically get out of that, right?
Exactly, and Fury. But if Fury
Fury
uses Needles and Thorns during the Minotaur Fury, what more to save him from the other bits of CC coming from Virtus Pro? I'm impressed. I love it. I'm a believer now.
$3
Yes, now we're just a
million
witness, but now I'm a believer.
prize pool
10
ng
minutes. Is that the fastest game?
MSC
One of the fastest games to be fair.
2025.
I remember a couple 10-minute games in sub 11
No,
games,
this is
but
9:55.
this is 9:55. It should be the fastest game.
This is 9:55.
Hey, look, we'll get some confirmation through Zipper a little bit later. But hey, great game coming in from
MCL pala yan sa-
Immediately we had an answer to
Ano yun
it.
eh, Rising yun eh, dahil yung premyo.
I think that not only was it just, hey, it's the pick with a mass CC, but I do think that the execution was almost near perfect.
Yep.
You always wait for that last second to flicker Minoan Fury, am I right? But he makes sure that he catches the tank offside. Once the tank is offside, everybody else can kind of start spilling in. Yes, Fury can get into these fights, but I do think that the side laners made the biggest difference.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, Backcott destroyed that game. He was playing, immaculately.
Yeah, he did die a few times wherein it seemed like he was overextending, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's just what you do as a Phoveus, right? You cross thresholds where no other hero could, and if you push your opponents back, you win, yes. If you die, it doesn't matter. You're an XP laner. You're the secondary roam.
Created more than enough space for you to kind of deal with whatever you need to, especially since this is kind of the lineup that they wanted, and this is also the execution that worked out for them.
I think, the only thing that I was hoping to see from the side of Influence Rage was more snipes coming in with the Kadita, right? I mean, the problem was opening up the map was finding a pocket to hide was hard enough, but then Minotaur starts walking up into it, and you're like, do I just try and one-shot the Minotaur? I don't have the items to do so just yet.
And to rely on the one-shot factor alone makes this such a fragile strategy. Not a fragile lineup, because the lineup knows how to take care of itself. I think that's fair enough to see. But in addition to that, what makes it harder to execute on is range. They were outranged. It was so much easier for Virtus Pro to say, hold your ground. Halfway through the engagement, they're already at half health, even before we start the fight, because of the failed airstrike, because of the artillery damage that the Granger on
Super Igorka.
Super Gorka was dealing. So I think that alone was a fundamental flaw in this matchup. So that's why it led to 9:55.
Yeah, and not only that, right? Even when it comes down to Andoryu, he also does have some quite a good pokes going in. In fact, one of them sniping out the Kadita.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do. I do think that the side laners were kind of struggling, but I think the item builds were also kind of weird. First item Sky Pierce coming in from that Kadita is a little
Greedy.
As some may say. But with that being said, though, that's only the very first match. There's still more to come from both Virtus Pro and maybe the Revenge of Influence Rage. Game 2 going to be happening right after the break. We'll catch you right after these messages.
Ang bilis ng break dito, mga 2 minutes lang ata. Tapos naging 5 minutes. Puro 2 minutes kasi nakikita ko. O, naging 4 minutes. Nadagdagan ng 2. Kahapon late na natapos nung nung wildcard. Ini-import na pala ang Pinay ngayon sa kahit saang bansa. Dapat kung hindi magdaos ang MLBB, alagaan nila ng maayos ang mga pro player. Dagdagan nila sahod, hindi iban. Katulad sa BTK that inintindi nila ang BTK. Nagawa nila yan kasi sa kakulangan ng pera kasi nga kuripot ang pasahod ng MPL daw. May music pala to. Matagal na ini-import ang PH players. Hinaan ko muna music na. Hinaan muna. Wala pala yung score. Di ko pala nalagay yung score.
Welcome back, everybody. The wildcards continue today with our third best of 3. Group E has been exciting, but Virtus Pro looks to try and dominate the entirety of the tournament here at the 2025 Esports World Cup live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. My name is Getting Q for those of you just tuning in. We've got Abstract and as well as Leo at the desk to keep you guys entertained as the games go by. But after first impressions, we need to start talking about adaptation, boys. Influence Rage. Yes, they have another alive, but they've got to show up here for Latam.
There's a lot that's on the line, even though, like you said, one more life, but 2 losses, you're out kind of thing. Do you really want to be there? Do you really want to be on, you know, uncharted waters?
Okay. they've been here before. All right. Yesterday they faced off against Zeta Division. They were put at the cusp of defeat, but they reverse sweep the hell out of that series, right?
Yep.
So they recovered all of they recovered the way like no one could recover in game 2 with a Nana, with Kalia finally being put in the hands of Paquito. But here's the thing. Game 1, there was chance, there was hope. They did not lose in 10 minutes. Game 1 here, they lost in 10 minutes. I think cover the bases first. Your fundamentals,
I think that adjustments that need to be made, side laners need something a little bit, because they're getting outclassed here. It's getting really, really difficult. Let's jump into the draft in just a little bit here. Checking out the SEC Game and Hall is already a good time. These players are playing on a pretty huge stage, open aired, and you guys can be watching it live here in Riyadh. Book your tickets now while you still can. Boys, walk me through the draft. What are the adjustments that need to be made? Abstract and Leo, it's all you.
One,
lack
of range in game 1. That was a little, besides the whole fact that they were playing with a Kadita with Petrify, that was a little greedy. The whole idea of, we're going to get you, was greedy enough. Like, they were at least expecting Virtus.pro to meet them halfway, but they did not. Virtus.pro did not meet them halfway.
At least for the side of Influence Rage, what worked for them was just pure pickoff since game 2 against Zeta Division. And I think that they are leading towards that direction. But the question is now if whether they are still going to try for that same kind of idea going up against VP, because they want to catch, but in that previous game, Paquito didn't manage to land much hooks, if not any at all. It was for them to even get the pick off.
He was biting down where it mattered, but it was so difficult to capitalize because, again, the nature of that lineup and how it interacted with what VP was playing. So now Virtus.pro can respond in a very similar way because, if I'm not mistaken, the draft looks about 100% from back then.
Exactly
game 1.
the
This
same.
is deja vu.
Deja vu. And in fact, even the first pick of the 1-1 is still the same as well. Influence Rage does seem like they put a lot of emphasis onto 1-1 at this point in time.
That's Fury's 1-1.
Yes. Lapu Lapu is still open. So in fact, I think that they will still kind of go towards that. Oh, but no, a little bit different here. But they still don't have that range that you were talking about.
Yep, this is still mid-range at best. But, you know, for being conservative, for Influence's Rage's sake, so that they understand how important this is short range. This is very short range compared to the artillery of Virtus.pro right now. This slot earlier for Virtus.pro, this is not where the Minotaur showed up. Minotaur showed up in phase 2.
Phase 2, yes. In fact, the Gato Kancha. Okay. So adding an additional bastion of over to the garrisons.
This is where the Minotaur showed up.
Was it?
Or Phoveus is where the Phoveus
Yes.
So now it's a good thought. Phoveus is still out there. You can still put the Phoveus. And what's crazier is Virtus.pro, they did not ban the Zetian earlier. So now they don't care either. Like, they can just attack.
Oh, right.
XP lane in the roam now.
So no Zetian, because Influence Rage already have the juice in. What the kind of answers that they have gotta have to lie in the XP or the roam position. So all of the utility gotta have to go to either one of these two or both of these two.
As it is between the Fredrin and the Zushin, they can maybe pick, again, an Enchanter support. We're looking for that for a while now. The roam spot for Paquito. And then in the EXP, you can also kind of split up that responsibility. You can give, again, the Lapu Lapu. Like, I would like that. Or something like a Terizla or
in this case,
Arlet.
I think the way that they should go with is gotta be the Yuzhong. If they need a way to engage and a way to stop the Feather Airstrike, the Yuzhong seems like the most viable option for them, at least to start a fight, then the rest can kind of slowly flow in.
Yeah, it's like a backdoor into the mainframe.
Yes.
Like, nobody can stop you. You are going to find either the Farsa or the Granger, one way or another, with a Yuzhong. Does Influence Rage have that in their back pockets? Can Chino bring out his El Dragon?
Oh, I do like that. But follow-ups, that's what I want to get into.
How do they make sure that he gets out?
So what are the other possibilities? When it comes down to the Roman category, you have the Yuzhong go in first.
Matilda.
Who's coming in? Oh.
Matilda Yuzhong, maybe, if they want to fly like
and
that.
it kind of helps with the Fredrin as well.
Yeah, also gives them 1-1 a way out. But let's see.
Two-way outs, you know.
Exactly. Virtus.pro finally bans out the Franco, so No Latino Franco.
Latino Franco.
So far, this is just me. So far,
Laging
the
ganun.
only successful Franco is Shenlin in the wildcards.
I mean, so far we only had 2 Franco plays, right?
Yeah, so it's
only
just
two
Shenlin
Franco.
now. It's just Shenlin now with 100%.
Okay, Shenlin.
Rage here taking out the CC. So they're clamping down on XP lane
Okay.
picks.
Yeah, that's a Yuzhong that I'll be looking for. They want to.
This is the usual
rack-
setup.
Yeah, they want to ragdoll the lane. They don't want a CC to stop them at this point in time. I don't think that they're gonna go for any other utility ones. In fact, damage is something that they're lacking, considering the fact that it is a juice in after all, right?
Yep, doesn't deal much damage. It's more utility than anything. Virtus Pro, they got one more slot here. They do not have an XP laner nor a jungler.
Oh, VP can actually totally steal that.
Are you Zhong?
Yeah, they can totally steal that.
Yeah, no, you would be hurting the 1-1. And giving the Zushin a little too much to think about in your face. So they're keeping that close to the chest. Maybe not quite yet. This does open up the Lancelot.
Lance.
And Goryu picking up the Lancelot.
Okay, so that is gonna be the final. Now
Lancelot.
the final question: is it actually a Mathilda plus a Yuzhong?
Those are the options. Those are the logical picks.
Logical, but the other less logical ones, Lapu Lapu is always a very consistent. It's always something that I would say you can't go wrong kind of hero. And when it comes down to Roma, since Paquito is such a playmaker,
Is this an Angela lineup?
no way.
Again, that's a supporter role. That's an enchanter support. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can put the Angela in Rome and then Lapu Lapu, Yuzhong, whatever. Make my day. You can put anybody there.
Okay. Ah!
Angela.
Leo the man. Angela did pop up, and it also is going to be
Master
the
tsaka
Lapu-Lapu.
Gandhi.
They're not
Uy,
looking at
ate.
a very clear file way to
Chikain mo kaya ako
play
dito.
Foxa, which actually kind of still leads to the problem that they had in the previous game, where
Exactly.
they can't just go in.
All right. Difference from them and Mongols is Mongols know only one speed yesterday. Influence Rage only know one direction here. In your face. Straight up. The answer by Virtus Pro. They close up their draft with an Esmeralda. Throwing it into the face of all of these shields.
Esme.
Angela, shields. Zushin, shields. Lapu Lapu, shields.
She's happy.
Okay.
She's
All right.
happy.
All right. Virtus,
VP,
Nakamachill
they
ka.
definitely win the draft for this one, even though I love the Angela, but
you like the answers more.
yes.
Because it's so much more sound.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this draft has gone in
Why
the
does no one
direction.
pick Yuzhong?
Again, that's how wide open this meta game is, Abstract.
My goodness.
W-
I guess comfort over meta.
Okay, at least we saw both
Gwapo yung
directions
blue.
going, right? If it was the Yuzhong, right? If it was the Angela.
Si ate.
Yeah, we're pretty good at this.
Yeah, I
We
think
should be casters.
Damn, I never thought I could be that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2. Match point for Virtus Pro. The pride of EECA going up against the once favored would-become champions of MPL Latam here. They're trying to make it into game number 3. Can they do that? Or will Virtus Pro continue their dominating streak here, being the only undefeated team in the wild card?
Let's take a look. As going in from this at the get-go, Virtus Pro started at the south at the
Dito na
top.
alis.
In fact, the Fredrin also. So the final destination is definitely going to be the gold lane in order to put a little bit more attention and influence. While most of that movements in the initial start, after clearing out the first wave, they went up to the top to kind of get a rain check.
This mid lane matchup is, for now, at least, favorable to Influence Rage. The Angela just throwing out all of these, at this point in the game, nukes, and then heals to sustain Chan and his Zushin, and then eventually Zushin will run out of damage and will not be as effective. Oh my god, very low Hotun!
Oh! Again, 2 times in a row, Hotun finds himself being first blooded. Oh man, that's not a great start. Game 1 and game 2.
Let's not even get started on top lane. The Esmeralda is eating up the Lapu Lapu as we expect. And then bottom lane, Fury is in trouble!
Oh no,
No.
there's no way he's getting out of this, huh? We got Pluto, tank the first shot, the wave comes in, and goodbye to Few. I spoke a little bit. Okay. Phantom
Kailangan
Execution
makakaalis eh.
executes the 1-1.
Multiple losses on all fronts. Top lane, Chino falls. Bottom lane, Fury falls. Up next on the docket, Paquito and Hotun. Virtus Pro.
Hotun's is 3.
Oh my lord. Virtus Pro are they're standing and stepping down onto Influence Rage's neck. Saturn almost goes down, doesn't even have level 4 yet.
Oh man, we are only 2 minutes into this game and Virtus Pro seems like they are burying Influence Rage alive as now Bad Card immediately pushes the Lapu Lapu away with the Feathered Airstrike to create a little bit more zoning. In fact, Pluto also has zoning in his kit.
Chan already used the Crimson Beacon, dashing back away from the fight. Virtus Pro now sitting at 2,000 gold ahead. I was like, is this not the biggest lead we've seen at the 2-minute mark?
This is absolutely the biggest lead, right? Naturally, if you want to play a very aggressive lineup, something that we'll always see from the Indonesian meta or the Malaysian meta, you want 1,000 gold lead every minute. The moment that they continue to go on with this, they are on the right curve in order for them to end once again sub 10.
And things are getting out of hand at that point. So you're going to go into panic mode. You're going to try to go for survival. And for once, wow, Chino is winning this lane here, but he is forced to use his ult. All this while, Badcut's holding on to his own. Badcut doesn't care.
And his HP is back already. He literally do not care at all, man. This guy, he's literally holding on to his lane very well. In fact, 1v2, almost there on the Pakitu, but he did at least manage to force a very
Gagawin ka lang.
away
Gagawin mo.
Angela.
Okay, mind you, macro-wise, Paquito lost nothing on that. He's get the retreat and then Heart Guard. Where's the Heart Guard?
Heart Guard was even used, I think.
Right there.
Oh, there we go.
Grabe.
So he didn't
May
use the
TP.
previous one. He was using it right now. Badcott finds himself outmatched against the Lapu Lapu finally, I suppose. But now the sandwich happens as Influence Rage finds himself right behind the Virtus Pro. The focus is number one on the Super Igorka, only for him to flicker himself away. While Bober just goes into Feathered Airstrike and put out an artillery out over to the side of Influence Rage. While we do have Fury also with that crossbow of Tang.
Oh, wow. The super outnumbered Virtus Pro are, but all this while, what does this buy for them across the map? A steal. Andorio commits Grand Theft Purple, taking away resources from Influence Rage.
Umitik sa inyo, pingi.
They're now at what? Almost 3,000 gold ahead, and they're still going for the turtle. Can Influence Rage contest this?
I absolutely not. Hodun is currently 2 levels behind of Andoryu, and he's not even tanky enough. In fact, take a look at this collapse coming in from Virtus Pro, trying to bring Gino down as much as possible, but a good flicker plus a stun over to Badcott, and even for Bober, popping off with the Feathered Airstrike just to zone everyone else away. No way Influence Rage gets close.
Dear God, the tweaks to Lancelot's kit is evident now. Top lane, look at this. Bober!
Influence Rage finally comes back and gets a good fight against Bober. Now Horun is still in the fight though. He definitely do not want to get a little bit too close to Endoryu as well as Badcard, but the top lane is slightly pushed out. This will be a 4v2 unless Horun goes down.
Andoryu is just way too far ahead. He's dealing damage that Influence Rage cannot comprehend. A push in mid. Chino trying to stop the bleeding there. Fury looking to get the pop off here. He has his ult. He has an Inspire. Can he do it?
Honestly, here we go. Feather Execution will be able to stop Fury from the back crossbow of Tang. Well, Badcard, he's just walking away.
Grabe, nakali siya.
This man, as Bober and Pluto zones everyone else to ensure that there's no chasing available.
Badcott gets away with it. He walks. Virtus Pro continuing to slaughter through Influence Rage, whether it be at the cost of something across the map or for just $3.99. 6 minutes into this game, 3-4, yes, the score is, but look at the map. Look at the gold lead. They're holding strong to this 3,000 gold ahead.
This macro game from Virtus Pro is absolutely disgusting, right? Because every single fight that they take, there is a motive and there's something that's going on the opposite side of the map. No matter what, if Virtus Pro is buying time out of Influence Rage, something else is happening across.
It's just way too fast. Virtus Pro playing off the tempo that they did in game number 1. Again, unofficial just yet, but 9:55 might be the fastest game in all of MSC just yet. All of the wild card, and Virtus Pro are keeping up with that pace. 15 seconds until the final turtle spawns. Again, none for Influence Rage thus far. I'm guessing they're going to try to contest still. With an Angela lineup, you have no choice. You have to try.
They have to, right? But The level-wise, though, 3 levels behind. Realistically, it's kind of tough to see them being able to, but great taunt coming in from the Gato Kacha just to make sure that Chino would not be able to get himself away, but this is what we want from Chan. He does have the hot gun on him, and of course the Crimson Beacon sends him flying in right in front, and will be able to deal with Super Igorka. Literally, this is Chan at his finest. Bring down Pluto next one.
Too many shields
Yeah.
on the Zushin, and they're not dead.
Andoru
Gets taken
So-
out.
You have managed to bring yourself into the third turtle. Influence Rage, I didn't think that they will be able to win in the fight, much less win the turtle.
The Nightmare gets shot out. They wake up, they open their eyes and say, it's go time, gentlemen. Andale, we can't allow Virtus.pro to do this to us. And I couldn't believe they did it off the back of Chan. It was all on the back of a Crimson Beacon and just straight up sprinkling magic damage and CC everywhere.
Now that I think about it, Super Igorka don't have got any of that mobility to get himself away from the Crimson Beacon plus the Landed Flare. And honestly, Chan, he's pretty tanky with all those shields combined. So Virtus.pro, I think Badcott gotta have to keep an eye onto Chan from this point onwards.
Yeah, to be honest, Badcott is the one hard stop. No one from Virtus.pro can actually answer to what that was. The Chan and Paquito combo, the Angela and Zushin. So if once Badcott says we're ready, that's all Badcott does. Anything comes up mid-fight, once he sees that hard guard, he just changes to targets. Like, I will dance around you.
With the itemizations going on about Virtus.pro, it does seem like the Granger is just a tad bit ahead of the one word, and Virtus.pro trying to be very aggressive on top of all that too.
Given that, Virtus.pro have to find a way to funnel some resources over to Badcott. Because now Badcott becomes all the more a priority.
Right?
He becomes that much more significant. Yes, the game changer here. Now knowing that the one way Influencer can turn things around is off of the Hearthguard on Chan. That was the most lethal thing we've seen Influence Rage do in this whole game, maybe series. Even Fury wasn't as scary.
Honestly, they just gotta have to cycle that part over and over again until Virtus.pro finds an answer. So instead of a pause 4 Esmeralda, immediately we have that switched up for a pause 3 Esmeralda. Badcott gotta have to be right in the face of Chan, especially since it is going to be an aggressive Crimson Beacon, leaving Chan with nothing but a flicker. In fact, Chan picking up the flicker is a testament to the fact that they know that this works, and they will pull it off.
Yep, there's really nothing to purify here. It's not as important. Repositioning is going to be more important as the Lord stands now. Both teams actually have a fair chance at getting it. Andoryu securing his orange first. Will be the same for Influence Rage, but the other way around, the purple for Hotun. And now the dance begins. Pluto first, Chan. I can't believe it. Chan is the linchpin of Influence Rage right now.
Never would I have think that a Juicin will actually get to that point. That is kind of scary. Let's take a look at items. Glowing One, and of course, Sky Piercer.
Yeah, there's not enough money on Badcott to do exactly what we're asking of him. What Virtus.pro needs of him to be able to stop the menace that is Chan's Zushin, who, after that one turnaround, said, you know, forget about it. Let's build the... oh my God!
Oh no, Chino!
There it is again!
All the way to the back, but in the meantime, Chan is exactly what we are talking about. Again, the victim to this combo, Super Igorka.
And they lose, as expected. Badcott, again, he's not ready just yet. Might have to
You
surrender
know.
himself,
No way.
concede to Chan. But look at this, off camera. Where is Andoryu? He's just split pushing. He's the only thing he can do.
They need an answer to this. Even though Andoryu is, of course, ahead in levels and being able to steal the lot away from Influence Rage, but they just don't have got that real estate to allow Andoryu all that vision.
Yeah, they invested in the off lane. They invested in the long lane and pushed that bottom lane tier 2, which is, again, a consolation prize to the Lord, to the pickoffs that Virtus.pro got. This was such a deep dive by Chan. It started with him hunting down Super Gorka in about the same spot, and then moved over to near the lane, taking down another, and then that's all she wrote. That's all Influence Rage wanted to do. It went straight for the Lord. Badcott, there's just not enough resource on the map to give to Badcott.
there's nothing that they could do except to kind of deal with the lanes bit by bit, right? And that also means that they gotta have to extend the game as long as they can. Imagine the amount of gold lead that Virtus Pro had, only to be foiled by a single Angela plus Juicing combination.
This is what teams like Team Falcons were going for. They wanted to play this kind of Zushin Angela combo on Doryu. River Brush gets spotted out.
But it's not going to be too much of a problem. We do have the creep waves coming in, and it is Zazima, and Doryu wants to do a little bit of something. But I think that is a little bit of an overcommitment, as now, at least, they managed to get a kill down on Hoden. If they're able to fall back, that's perfect.
Free pickoff here for Virtus Pro, and they don't lose much of the map in pursuit of this kill. Hotun falls. Unfortunately, it won't really mean much. It's just there to try and close the gap. Minimize the gold lead that Influence Rage has. Currently sitting about 2,000 gold up. And at least they're putting a little bit more gold and resources on Badcott. Badcott now just under 1,000 behind Chino. So he's on his way, I believe, to a Queen's Wings, this must be.
Probably so. Still at 6.6 thousand gold to his name. Well, in the meantime, the Lancelot is also playing that old school Lancelot build, so full of damage going on for him. Still 55 seconds until the Lord happens. Now, Virtus Pro still gotta have to answer that one question. How do they actually realistically deal with Chan? With a massive amount of shields going on, even if Virtus Pro just focuses everyone and just single target over to Chan, I don't think that they have got what it takes to actually bring him down.
Yeah, if that's economically efficient, or if that'll solve the problem, right? Because it's all theoretical at this point. But I don't know if at the time there was a halberd on Super Gorka when they last fought. Because Super Gorka now has a halberd, and now there's a dominance ice on Pluto, and a glowing one on Bobear. Those three things may be together. That might be enough to put down the shields. Andorio chasing Paquito!
But of course, the be popped, and
maybe
a quick Angela's out. Also, the hot gut allows her to get out of dodge, while now Chan is still onto the sides. A little bit of a choke point, but now they lost that Win the Crown. They lost that the ultimate coming in for the side of Angela as well. But Andorio found himself a little bit too deep into the battle, as such it will go down. Fury is still going to be hanging around, but Badcott finds himself right in the face of Fury. Virtus Pro with only 4 members down, 4 members left. They gotta have to continue on to this fight, or they gotta have to back out. Blue, next one, chopping block. While now Bober flickers himself away, wings by wings, ensuring that he will be fine. As now the hot god is back over to the side of Chan. They are just trying to do their absolute best. Look at an insane amount of damage that somehow Chan is able to deal over to Badcott.
Badcott still running. 3 members of Virtus Pro send themselves away. Influence Rage, they lost the battle but won the war. I get what Virtus Pro was going for. I get what Andori was trying to do. It started here in the bottom lane. He tried to threaten Paquito and say, Paquito, use your heart guard now, and he did onto Chan. And Chan tried to start a fight that was mal-timed. It wasn't very well timed and placed. And then that gave what, a 15-20 second window to Virtus Pro to try and pick a fight, and then it lasted a little too long that they weren't getting what they wanted, and Influence Rage got the cooldown again, and it led to the heart guard on Chan once more. And then it was all over. It was too late.
We gotta have to also consider the fact that Angela will definitely get cooldown reduction the moment that someone goes down. As now Influence Rage, they will ravage through the entirety of the battlefield as Virtus Pro find themselves with the back against the wall, while Chan, this man, is on a rampage as he now gets himself a double kill. Make that a triple. Definitely might be able to get himself a big one.
Oh!
With Andorio, the last
Savage.
and he might very potentially be able to do something about this. Fury goes down. Wait, hold it.
Nakadawag pa. Oh! Umabot si Savage.
Combo from Influence Rage.
And now it's just a matter of time.
Savage, Zushin.
Takes us all the way. The corpses of Virtus Pro lie beneath their base, and we're going all the way.
Intro lang pala sabi.
Oh. As the corpse litters the battlefield, Influence Rage met himself with such a tough start. Hoden finds himself down and down time and time again. But the moment they found that point in time where they showed their cards, Angela plus Juice in combination, they have been unstoppable.
It didn't matter. Apparently, it was a core Jushin in the most weirdest of ways.
Karzushin. Weirdan din sila eh.
She was a force of nature, man. Like she just Chan decided to put the beacon on you, and there was nothing you could do about it. You were either going to die or get thrown around like a rag doll.
Even if you saw the Esmeralda,
Yeah, no,
it was just
bad
taking
cop.
everything.
Bad cop was a band-aid for a bullet wound. Like, it was not going to solve the issue. You were not going to walk away from that.
Realistically speaking, we all just wanted to see Badcott being the answer, but
He was the only logical answer, but he wasn't enough.
was it really about the money?
Was it about the money? Yeah, I think money solves a lot of things, right?
But in that case,
In that case, I'd like to think maybe not. You're right. What if he did fully build? It's just that the shields on the Zushin and the kit that was coming out of this ethereal figure was just too much. You're right. It was just too much. Like, sure, deny the shields, but you were gonna die. Take it away. You were going to die either way. The Sky Pierce had enough stacks on it.
it's a massive curveball.
Is this the first Savage of all wildcard?
This is the first Savage.
All right, Virtus Pro didn't score no Savages last night, so yeah, no.
Yeah, they are the best team.
Wala mga binatbat yan sa Onyx PH, sabi. Chill.
This guy blew me off, and I don't even know what to say. Look, this is the point in time where we just immediately saw that.
Abstract. Chan joins a very elite list of players to have scored a Savage in an international event. There's just a handful of them now. I know the M series Savages, but what are the MSC Savages?
I actually,
Right? That's also a very small list of elite players. A very select few, and Chan now joins those ranks.
and in the wild card.
Andoryu tried to deny it too. I like how Andoryu was like, Thorn Rose, I'm not going down like this.
And he got 2 kills, so I think that's actually pretty valiant effort coming from Andoryu. It's
Yeah,
like,
I think the
I'm
kids
going down.
would say NT. type NT in the chat. Like that's where we find ourselves. You see that Savage?
I did see that Savage.
Woo!
Very impressed with everything that Latam has to offer. Influence Rage, great job at bringing this back, pushing the score 1-1 against Virtus Pro, because my God, that early game was heavily in the favor of Virtus Pro. Everything was going well for them, but it's all the small things put together, right? For me, I think why Zushin on top, being that core Zushin on top of having the hard guard as a
Refresh
primary
lang ako,
target,
guys.
the only person who can really apply the damage
Refresh
is specifically Farsa.
stream.
Great.
Minsan kasi naglalag.
And Doryu, he's not going for the lethal ignition, he's going for killing spree, so he's more of the cleanup crew than anything else. So, with that being said, though, they were going to see a Game 3 in this featured match alone, and it's going to be one hell of a banger here. Boys, adjustments need to be talked about, because I feel like in terms of the draft, do you
Yung game ata na to, may lower bracket pa sila.
Esmeralda?
Yung kanina,
I
wala.
think that Esmeralda is the answer.
Yeah.
Like, Esmeralda is a good pick here for me. But it just seemed as though they didn't see that coming from Chan, and they started to panic.
Here's the thing. The one fault I think that Virtus Pro committed was the fact that they failed to recognize the timer. They failed to recognize that they were counting down to when Zushin was ready. When Chan got Paquito in him, and they were just the most confident they ever were all series, that's where I think Virtus Pro said, oh wow, we weren't ready for this. And then that was the one mistake. They definitely dropped the ball here.
Could have been a change. I mean, I don't know. I would have liked to see a more high damage oriented EXP laner. I think that was the only adjustment I would have thought. Again, Esmeralda, not the biggest fan of it. I understand with the shields and everything, but if they had just a wee bit more damage, I think maybe they could have prevented not only the Savage, but maybe turn and close out that game. I don't know. It's a lot to discuss. We will talk about it before we go into our next game, but we're gonna go on a short break, and when we come back, the conclusion of our third series of the day. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these messages.
Ayan, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Welcome back, everybody. The wild cards continue in our third featured match of the day. Has been no less than shocking, but at the same time, our very first savage of the wild cards here at MSC has already occurred by Chan. Influence Rage has come out of the gate swinging, but there still needs to be adjustments coming into game number 3. My name is Gideon Q. Of course, we've got Leon as well as Abstract at the helm to keep you guys entertained and be your main witnesses as they are our commentators. Boys, adjustments. I think the early game needs to be smoothened out from the side of Influence Rage. There's so many times where this game could have been closed out towards mid-game if somebody made just one more mistake. It's always just teetering on the edge.
Is it part of their plan? Lose the early game, you get nonchalant, throw a caution in the wind, boom, Chan, in your face!
I would like to think not, because that is a super
Benefit of doubt.
That's a super fragile and you put your hands in you put your fate in your opponent's hands. Like, that's not how you win a competition. So I'd like to think that this is more of Virtus Pro slipping up. Virtus Pro not recognizing the timer and not recognizing how lethal. I mean, I'll be honest, like, even I was surprised of how lethal a Zushin Angela combo would be.
Yeah.
I saw the Angela come in from a mile away in the very last second, but I did not know that it would be this way. I expected it to be more on the Lapu, more on the Fredrin, maybe even the 1-1, but they were all like just a supporting cast to Chan Zushin. So that should be definitely watched out for in Game 3. Like, maybe ban. Make sure that there's no Angela shenanigans.
I think that's fair. That's a fair argument. But do you think that Endoryu could have just adjusted his build just a little bit more? I mean, he was opting to go for Killing Spree. He could have gone for like the Bruiser style, the latest. Yeah, I mean the Lethal Ignition and go for that Bruiser style instead. Change up the build a little bit more. Maybe get the anti-heal just a little bit earlier down the priority.
Like Halberd at 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like I don't know. These small things are looking to start to add up. We've seen in the wild cards how much that makes a difference here in a lot of their matches, especially when we're talking about like 6 to roughly, I'll be a little bit more generous, I would say 7 to the 11th minute mark. That's where a lot of teams kind of converge in terms of how much gold they can accumulate.
All in all, if you were to ask me that question, I would generally say that one thing's for sure, yes, timing has got to be the way, especially since they
Wala ba kayong chika dyan?
they managed to kind of but they managed to even keep Hodun in a corner. Like, that guy, he's not coming out. He can't do his basic job of tanking, basic job of taking objectives.
He had negative experience. He owed people experience.
Honestly, honestly, what could they possibly do at that point in time, right? But for VP, I think they slipped up only because of the timer, and then they somehow, one lost game, or rather one lost fight, switched all the way through.
It was the fight. That was the fight of all fights. Wherein Chan just ran through everyone.
Well, let's see whether we're going to get another fight of all fights once again. We're going to be heading into the draft real soon here at the SCC Gaming Hall. Boys and girls, you better get excited for this because VP has put on a show, and Influence Rage shows you when they're backed up into a corner, all they want their soldiers to do is rage. Let's jump right into this. Leo, Abstract, it's all you.
I like that. Coach Blackjack's only order is to rage. You follow my lead, but you better rage along the way. Game number 3 is upon us. Influence Rage on the pick. They'll pick 2, but Virtus Pro will play. So they are on blue side. Oh, look at this. No more.
Immediate respect.
No more. Banning the Zushin.
Ayaw na sa Zushin.
We're not gonna deal with that.
So the problem wasn't the Angela. It was a Zushin.
Look, we even made that comment, right? Where it was like, okay, EXP Lina probably needs some more damage because Jutsin deals no damage. But
I guess it's not the amount of damage that was the problem. It was the kit, like how inevitable it was that if you stood underneath,
you would just get tossed over and over.
Exactly,
and over
it just
again.
ruins all of Virtus Pro's plans. So yeah, no, this is good housekeeping. They ban out the 1-1 as well, forcing Fury to play something else. While Influence Rage, I'll just ban the same things.
I don't think that anything changed at all.
Not for this side.
But the Kalia at this point in time is still open.
That's right.
Okay, we'll say goodbye to that as well. That was my only, one of the only things that I would believe that Influence Rage would highly capitalize on.
Yep, those are respect bans. Again, that's literally Chan, Fury, and Paquito.
So with all of that taken out, the first pick will go over to VP. And generally, when it comes down to VP, Uranus is also taken out, so that is out of the picture. 1-1 is out. I would assume that having a Yi Sun-shin will always be a great start.
No, we forgot Baksha's open. Baksha was
nice.
banned in the previous series, but previous games, but now here it is. Hard flex here. We don't know where this is going. The answer by Influence Rage, putting a Farsa in the hands of Chan. And I'd reckon... The Baksha blocks out so much.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You wouldn't really want to go too much regenerating kind of thing based on that first pick box here.
Oh, do you go Granger? Do you go Farsa Granger?
Honestly, Granger?
It's safe.
Yeah, it's safe. You don't lock yourself into any form of composition just yet. But you also take ensure that you give Fury the pick that he wants.
Oh, wow, no. They're picking their foundations first.
Okay.
This is the Hotun's Fredrin. The hero that we could have sworn was just bullied into the ground, buried, but no. You can hear Linkin Park's music play like the ending of that Transformers movie. Come out like he's fine. Apparently he's okay. So how does Virtus Pro respond to this?
Maybe so Tien is available?
Yes. Again, a clear answer to the Farsa.
And the it has always been like a pair, right? So Tien and the Yi Sun-shin. So kind of put that box here over to the Rome.
So there's half of it, and there's the other.
There we go.
Combo. Okay.
If Rage combos, we combo.
So we're looking...
Throw a die.
Yep, so we're looking for the Granger here. This is Granger the Earthel. You often see this. This is such a 1.9.92 pattern wherein red side pick 3 becomes either the Earthel or the Granger. It comes down to that. And then you allow for the other to get the swing back. But no, you're insured to win this matchup because you can ban gold laners after the bans. You take away more bans. More gold laners.
So you take the, in this case, take either Irithel or Granger, and then you ban Irithel and Granger.
And everything else.
And all Granger.
Like Moskov,
Bruno.
Yep.
I think Bruno has been quite a bit of priority.
Or better yet, you pick something else. You pick a roamer or an XP laner. There it is. There's the Cho. And then you start banning gold laners and force the good one left to red 4.
So consistently, Influence Rage actually focuses on banning Bruno in the previous series against Zeta Division. It could be a respect over to Zeta Division for playing the Bruno. Perhaps in this case, they are just thinking, maybe we don't really need to care too much about that.
Yeah, looking at Super Igorka, again, he did play in the Brave Draft atmosphere of MCC. It wouldn't really matter. So just let him have whatever. But maybe you can, maybe during the second phase now, you can attack it specifically enough. You take out the Bruno, take out the Granger, end up with the Irithel, force him to play like something like a...
Oh yeah, their first pick on the second phase. Yes.
Oh no, but they won't touch it.
Okay.
They would rather not attack hero pools.
Okay.
It seems like it's in vain.
So they might as well just take out heroes that have a lot more impact throughout the entirety of the game.
Yep.
Phoveus being one of them. The next one, I think taking out a glue is going to be generally fine too.
Or CC.
Or CC.
Yeah, because usually CC is the answer, but if you're not sure what your opponent's playing in the XP lane, you would rather not risk it, so maybe ban out the CC.
With all things considered, Influence Rage lacks gold lane and a XP. Gold XP, VP, XP, and gold, yeah.
So it's weird that gold laners aren't getting attacked here.
Yeah.
Both sides just want to have a good pickup.
Just an open lane. Perhaps they're just thinking, you know what? We'll just leave the gold lane alone. This is something that is not going to be the gold lane in this game. We're going to focus and attack the EXP. We want to win the XP fight. We want to win in early turtles.
Yeah.
And I think that fits into VP's MO with how they have been playing very aggressively in all of their early games.
And with this last ban by Rage, it's all the more clear that gold lane should be wide open. There's the Badang. What is Virtus Pro ban out? The CC, there it is.
Okay,
it was going to be a trade for
Mid
either side. Now, Rage, a gold laner.
It has to be a gold laner, right?
And an XP laner. Yeah, because they'd lose the trade if they let go of the gold now. So they have to pick the best gold laner available, unless that's what they want.
Keep the gold laners for themselves.
Yeah. Make sure that the gold laner wins that matchup.
Understandably, even when it comes down to the XP side, you can kind of use that as an X factor. The moment that you don't pick up the XP, because it is a blind pick after all.
Yes, even if it's a comfort pick, it's still a blind pick. You could get ruined by the last two from Virtus Pro.
Still got about 10.
Yesterday there was a Harith, right? Virtus Pro shut that down. But now all the more Harith should be picked up.
No way.
There's an Arlet. Okay, XP lane first then.
Okay, so it is XP. Virtus Pro. This is an XP Arlet. That means that we actually have quite a lot of heroes that we can kind of work with. We've got the Yuzhong. Phoveus is out, unfortunately. Yuzhong, Glue. I mean, if you want to call in for heroes that we haven't seen in a long time, I suppose Benedetta is one thing if they want to add more damage into the mix, or if they want some more tankiness. I don't think Esmeralda fits the bill.
Yeah, no.
They have an answer for the Farsa.
Glue seems good. I like the Glue. There's only really one answer so far on the board. That's a Farsa that blows it up.
Okay.
There it is.
Yep, that's a Glue.
Alongside the carry, which I reckon should rock a Purify. So the carry just ruins the Arlet.
Cho as well.
The Cho in the Fredrin.
Yes.
So what does Rage put in the gold lane against his carry?
So long range, right? You want to win by range.
Oh wow! No, they.
Oh my god!
They decide to play in the paint. Here's the Harith. Yesterday, Virtus Pro ruined the Harith. Kami of Nightmare Esports tried to play a Harith.
It didn't work out well at all.
Did nothing. Close to nothing. There'll be an action later on. I wonder how they're feeling going into today's match, an elimination match. But here, these two teams are one game away from qualifying for the next stage of the wild card, the single elimination stage before the finals.
So fill me in. This is a pick-off with a Cho, but they don't have anyone necessary to kill whoever got picked off. Aside from Farsa.
Their only source of burst is the Farsa, yes. Or in the ultra late game, the Harith, which is again very fragile.
But would they have to wait till the late game?
It's so specific. This is what Influence Rage decided to go into, but all the while Virtus Pro.
I mean, it fixed the problem about high ground, but it doesn't fix the problem about winning in the early game.
Yes,
the VPS.
The high ground issue.
Game 3 na.
Game 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, not a problem in Game 2 anymore. So it feels like it's retroactively fixing something that wasn't a problem anyways.
Okay.
But if it wins, hey, who are we to say? Even this glue in the hands of Badcott seems like a long shot. Like, we were asking for it, yes, but what does it do in practice? We're about to find out. Game number 3, the rubber match in this best of 3. One game to confirm who moves on to the next stage. Who gets out of Group B first? Is it Virtus Pro or Influence Rage? We're about to find out. Here we go.
All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, what's it going to be? We are down to match point. One team, as you mentioned, gets the first seed. Group B.
Dragging in place.
Yeah. Oh, you were kind of dropping a beat, huh?
Yeah.
I was about
I mean, they're running in tempo. Look at that.
not exactly a moonwalk per se, but hey.
All right. Let's allow our players to gather themselves. You were saying?
Wala ng internet. Charis.
We'll let it go then. Somebody
Pinos.
better left to the ether.
If I forget about it, that means it's not something important, right?
Okay, back
Here we
to
go.
Game na.
For
Okay.
reals this time. Influence Rage. They definitely drafted a little spicy. Again, your worries are not without merit. Abstract, because yes, whoever you pick off, whoever you find with the final slash, whoever you find with the Way of the Dragon, has to be led to some kind of damage, right?
Yep.
Uy. Very nice, guys.
Here's what's painful.
Very nice.
Both of those damage sources that you want to
Refresh ka
feed
lang.
into your lineup.
The Fredrin in the jungle for all 3 games.
Oh yeah. Game 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. So they really like that.
Potun woke up today and said, "Coach, I'm playing Frederick."
I'm not looking at any other heroes, despite the fact that, you know, jungle hero pool right now is kind of huge with very
Ikaw magpapalaro, ate. Hindi, nag-stream ako ng MSC Wildcard.
Just gonna be getting a little bit of a buzz on, or rather,
Manonood lang ng laro.
harass on the Bober, only to find himself harassed himself.
That's a technical knockout on Paquito, getting sent home early. The recall, allowing for massive rotations from Virtus Pro. They're sending over Pluto to check on Hotun. In the top lane, though, the gold lane, we see that Super Gorka is actually winning. pushing Fury up behind his wave.
Oh, I just realized also another thing that having a Cho really good for is you constantly deny Bober's passive.
Oh yeah,
There's nothing they can do anymore.
Because you'll always be in her face.
Yeah. You have a free entry and a free exit anyway. So this is a Zetian who in some sense have got no passive.
Yeah, she's about 80% of a Zetian. All right.
Kailan ako magpapalaro? Hindi ko sure.
Is Influence Rage. Pluto trying to put a beat on him. Oh, spots 3.
Oh, perhaps this time the first blood will go to the side of Virtus.pro instead. Yodun, he's currently very, very healthy, as now the final slash is just going to be going out and connecting down on the 2. Pluto finds himself down to the hands of Paquito. This is something that is very different this time, while the grab is just going to be coming in from the side of Glue, latching on to Paquito. He's almost dead, but he does have shields, and of course, finessed himself right out of that.
And here's what's painful. Bobert already pressed the Phoenix Fury, so that means any and all magic damage has been expended from Virtus.pro. So this puts him in a very bad position, very difficult early on. Influence Rage, apparently, they don't just have to rely on that single pick-off potential. They can just smother you, Abstract. Influence Rage can smother Virtus.pro in the early game.
So whatever it is for the start of Influence Rage, with that 2 kills on their end, they can kind of play the long game in some sense. In fact, they kind of have to. Chan will definitely pop off in the mid stages of the game, but in the early stages, I'm actually kind of surprised at the fact that they managed to do that, exactly that.
They can just keep playing this way up until they feel like the scaling of their main 4 aren't enough, and then that's where they get the Harriet to join in. Paquito cancels the other half of the Way of the Dragon. Here comes a Feathered Airstrike. Yeah. Both teams actually skittish.
It's not really interested in committing to that fight. It's more of like, get out of my face kind of thing. Influence Rage back at it again as they just go straight into the face of Virtus.pro. But the Fury of the Phoenix will be able to land onto Hotun, but he will walk away with that, no problems. But Pluto expanded the Revitalize just to get out of that.
Another nothing fight. That was literally just, as you said, get away from me, I don't want this. Influence Rage knows that they have to buy time for the Harith, but if anything, we saw a moment of him dropping the Zaman 4, so yeah. Fury's not taking this line down. Fury wants to prove to Virtus.pro that, hey, what you did to the Harith yesterday was a one-off thing. We're picking this Harith. We believe that even if we already have another core in Chan on the Farsa, there's enough here for us to do with the Harith.
So it just takes a little bit more time for them to deal with, and Influence Rage doesn't want and doesn't allow Virtus.pro to take the aggressor role, right? As long as they have first dibs, they will be strong enough. Oh, there we go. There is going to be the kick, and of course, the single out over to the side of Bad Cards. One person down already, and no more influence from the EXP for this upcoming turtle fight.
And that's another open and free turtle for Influence Rage. Is this not the pattern that we see Hotun play all series long? Like, he knows one of his main strengths as Fredrin, as a utility jungler, is control of these turtle pits, these lord pits. So he's just taking care of that. He's making the most of it. And now, is that right? Did I just see Chino build his Thunderbelt?
Chino?
Was that Chino?
I would like to believe so. I would like to believe so.
Yes, it was.
Okay. Relatively fast. So you should be able to scale pretty effectively with all those defenses coming in, and it just need to be the same thing. Just play together with Paquito and just be in your face all the time.
Oh, interesting response from a spread to a final slash by Chino down bottom. Okay.
Ba't nga ba nag-slash si Arlot?
Revealing everyone from Influence Rage. Still a question of when will Virtus.pro decide
to kind of pop off?
The clap back, yeah. Well, what are they waiting for? Way of the Dragon.
Only to always be the one that gets hit. They're mounting themselves a garrison and hoping that they will be able to hold out. But that's not going to be the way, because all these kicks are always finding themselves within of the artillery.
Abstract, even without Fury. Fury didn't leave the gold lane. He hasn't left the gold lane for the better part of 6 minutes now.
They don't even need him at this point.
They have 4 kills.
Yep.
So us questioning where this damage is coming from is invalid. Influence Rage are smothering Virtus.pro. Once again, there's enough between Chino, Hotun, Chan, and Paquito to threaten so many kills. 4 now, 6 minutes in. On Doryu, what is he thinking? He has Bad Caught with him.
And it doesn't seem like he have a lot of HP to work with. Half HP left, and it's going to be the grab to pull Chino a little bit closer, only to get Endoryu. Just one more hit, though, and now he will go down, and the turrets does not manage to execute either one of them.
That is Virtus.pro's first kill. Mind you, they did spend a duo to try and gank Chino there.
just for Chino.
Luckily, all they lost was a top lane tier 1. And of course, maybe the turtle. So that means 100% of turtles go over to the Latin squad from Influence Rage. Oh, the kick by Paquito, forcing a response. Oh, two fights!
Oh, Hodun finds himself down, and in the bottom side, Paquito finds himself dead as well. Super Igorka took advantage of all of that chaos and takes the turtle down. So no 100% for Influence Rage anymore.
So now Virtus Pro clap back. We were waiting, and here we are satisfied. 7 minutes is when they do it. They get their kills, they get their first turtle, and they get their first push down bottom. Patience is a virtue that Virtus Pro decides to employ. Influence Rage now, they have to find a way to get Fury involved. And they're sending Fury away from the rest of Virtus Pro. When does it become Virtus Pro's turn to be the beatdown? When do they start chasing Influence Rage?
I think at this point in time, the upcoming Lord, that is where they will start to take up a fight, right? Andoryu at level 11, I think that is more or less ready to take up a fight against Influence Rage. As long as they have dominant river control and just keep Influence Rage within of their jungles and just hold out these lanes, I think that are pretty okay. They should be pretty happy about that. But with the first priority, definitely going to be T1 turret in the middle lane. But in the meantime, Pluto finds himself being the victims of Influence Rage aggression once again. There's absolutely nothing the bad card could just possibly do here.
All right, 8 minutes in, even with Virtus Pro showing signs of life, showing a little bit of teeth. Influence Rage are implementing the same strat. We're going to smother whoever we can, whether it be a chunky hero in Pluto or maybe something that's a little more sustainable, soft, but you know eventually we'll kill him like bad cotton in the glue. This is Influence Rage's MO, but at some point, you're right, it's going to be diminishing returns. You can't just keep killing the glue and the Baksha and expect returns. You have to find some way. Beber, Andoryu, or even Super Gorka, neither have yet fallen.
Yep, Revitalize has already been popped. No more Final Slash as well as, of course, the both Lance of the Fury and Chino. Both of them not exactly the healthiest, but they should be fine, as the Lord is only opening up in 10 seconds. So back again at it with the dance of the century for both of these two teams. We're coming and reaching into 9 minutes, where this is probably where things start to get scary. Since both teams have equal economy, it's all about these teams' power curve. When do they pop off?
And how they use that power spike.
Yes.
Can the right target be found by the kick? Can Chino Final Slash 2 or 3 dudes? To be honest, 4 or 5 is a long shot. That's a wish come true on a shooting star, but it's not going to happen because Virtus Pro are keeping themselves scarce. Look at how open they are. Look at the Purify still on Super Gorka. The passive on Bober.
Pluto is going to be the one that aggressed against Influence Rage this time. With Chino unavailable for the fight, this is one big CC coming in from Chino that is gone for good. The Lord is now going to be in the hands of Virtus Pro as they are completely having the dominance and priority over the Lord. It reset it once, but Chan joins in the fray. He did definitely use the Feather Airstrike to just push Super Igorka away. This is all the valuable time that they need as Fury drops out the Summon Force, only to find himself currently stuck in a choke point, allowing Andoryu to pick up a double kill.
Mind you, this whole time, Virtus Pro already spent their ults. So that fight lasted long enough for them to push over Influence Rage into that small avenue here near the orange buff. It's like Battle Thermopylae all over again. Spartans of Virtus Pro using that to their advantage despite them having less resources, and they win out, converting it to a Lord.
2.5k goal lead as well. This is the change that we wanted to see from Virtus Pro. And maybe not the change, but this is the turning point that we are looking out from the side of Virtus Pro, right? In the initial side, it kind of seems as though they are definitely having a little bit of problem trying to get themselves out of this well. But very well, they have got the Lord. This is going to get themselves a lot more Lord advantage. Middle lane definitely will go down.
Yeah, we are far from economic equilibrium now. Clearly, 3,000 gold over to Virtus Pro. A majority of that you can see in the gold lane. A good chunk of that you can see in the jungle as well. You know, Influence Rage have to protect Fury. They have to be careful where they put their core. There's a grab onto Paquito. He's going down.
He's going to go down as well. The Zaman Force coming from side. Fury tries to get himself away, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. Chino is going to be the next one onto the chopping block. And Doryu suffers a bit too much pot shots coming from Chan.
That is the range difference between the Farsa and the Yisun Shin. Yes, Andoryu has been having a great mid-game power spike, but there's only so much you can do in the face of those feathered airstrike salvos from Chan. But they have to defend still. Are two members of Influence Rage enough? No, they might lose this inhibitor.
Yep, T3 going down at 11 minutes. This is definitely gonna hurt a lot. That is a massive bonus for VP, especially since for slot, you would just generally want the exterior turrets. To go for the inhibitor turrets, those are massive.
Yep. Holy Defense is still standing on that bottom lane inhibitor. But the truth is, Influence Rage now have permanent damage dealt to their base. Bleeding constantly is the top lane.
Sakit, grabe. Ooh.
The lethal initiate is a little bit too much for the Zetian to deal with.
Chan pops him from about a mile away.
That must be a blind out coming in from Chan.
Yo, Chan just listened to his inner voice is saying, it's over here, he's over here, take him down. And that's Bobear's first death, by the way. Mind you, he had no bounty on him. He had no bounty on him, but the fact that this is the first time he dies 12 minutes in definitely gives Influence Rage some room to breathe.
He has his ultimate already. Oh, Andoryu. He slides himself right out. Paquito is not able to just connect himself over to the side of Andoryu at all. But in the meantime, they focus on Paquito. No way out for our Gino at all. And now the rest of Influence Rage, they thought that they have control of their own jungle only to be shoved back home.
Oh, wow. Andoryu forced a fight that Influence Rage wasn't ready to take by that flank. And now they're knocking on that bottom lane inhibitor, even mid. What a synchronized push here by Virtus Pro post-fight.
But I don't think that this is going to do too much over to the turrets. It did definitely chip off a little bit of that. But we do have the Bloodheads available in 5 seconds and Influence Rage. They're gonna have to find a way to come back at this, right? Hotun is level 14, that's not so bad. It's only 1 level away from Andoryu, but I'm honestly not too sure whether they should try to challenge this.
Influence Rage, I think their mind has already been made. Chan pops the Feather Strike, pushing away any would-be members of Virtus Pro to position inside their jungle. Pluto engages on the Paquito. Fury holding on. Still has his Zaman Force. A kick from Paquito, but no flicker. That's what's painful here. Earlier, there was an attempted flicker with the dragon, but I think Paquito got cold feet. Paquito pulled back and instead retreated. That's what resulted in Influence Rage here getting caught with a half-cocked plan. Like, they weren't ready. They weren't all fully committed to it.
There was a small, tiny little space between Paquito as well as Andoryu at a point in time. And I think that he has fully expended every single one of his skills, which is probably what I would believe. And the fact that he's got like 22 seconds on to flicker, that means he also don't have that at a point in time. So might as well just get out. Might as well just live for the defense.
Yep, they'll hold on to it. Luckily, they have a pretty solid defense. Chan works well with a high ground pressure. Fury, though, this is where I'm scared. Fury,
4 items.
Fury needs to commit a Zaman Force for him to be able to clear waves or even defeat the Lord. And now with his Feather Airstrike here, answered by the Furies of Phoenix, Virtus Pro going in!
It forces Chan to flicker backwards, and now Paquito has already lost more than half HP. Pluto is a little bit in a tough spot, but he's gonna be fine at all as the rest of members from the side of Influence Rage decides to fall back, and thus giving away the T3 down in the bottom lane, and eventually the T3 in the middle, because they have got a big, big lot to deal with.
That's the problem here. Influence Rage, they already picked a fight, they already entertained Virtus Pro, spent a good few resources, but no, luckily, Virtus Pro back out. They didn't have health. Virtus Pro also did not have any ults anymore. So Influence Rage lives. Clean defense. They keep their mid lane tier 3.
Another 3 more minutes to kind of play around with for Fury.
Boss, anong boss?
And within that,
Vigo, hello.
let's hope that he will be able to get a little bit more. Get himself the final item. I would like to believe the Holy Crystal if he haven't gotten that yet.
He's got to have it now. If not, then all the more they should feel like they're in trouble. 15 and a half minutes in. Chan topping the damage dealt rankings. Again, he's been amazing on this farce. That might be one of the few reasons why they're still alive. Mount Shocker, Andoryu checking in on everybody. It's clear that Influence Rage don't want no smoke. Real quick, checking in. There's the Holy Crystal.
Holy Crystal and Divine Glaive.
And they just need one more. This could be anything. What is it?
Blood Wings. That could be it, right? To play a little bit defensively while staying alive in fights, I suppose. A dead DPS is no DPS.
Tranche.
Oh, with the crown.
A little extra, yeah, a little extra
Lightning
here.
Trangian. It's an either or here.
Now Chan picks up his Holy Crystal, so he's going to do extra more.
Oh, it's Chan that didn't get his Holy Crystal.
More extra damage on top of topping the rank, topping the charts.
I thought that Chan has already got a lot of damage in his kit already.
He could use more.
Now he has more.
He could use more because again, Pluto still survives these nothing engagements. Badcut also still survives getting a grab on. So I get the incentive for Chan to continue building extra damage.
With the lanes at the top lane and the bottom for Influence Rage out, the macro game ultimately is going to be the most difficult for Influence Rage to even get themselves back into this game.
It's not as if they were going well into this matchup against Virtus Pro macro-wise, because, again, you're looking at double global, right? You're looking at Zetian, you're looking at Yusin Shin. But that's what will make Influence Rage's win all the more sweet. If they can turn this around, they're down 3,000 gold. Their base literally in ruins, only one inhibitor left. So they have to make this work. Lord,
they sent the Farsa?
They kept the Farsa there. He can wings by wings in. Still has a feather strike. Pluto gets blasted. Paquito spotted here by Andoryu.
There's a little bit too much damage coming in from the side of Influence Rage's Fury, but none of these two teams are too interested in just pushing right in, because what Virtus Pro is waiting for is that slow push down from the bottom lane, because Farsa definitely wants to focus onto the middle lanes, right? He don't want his T3 to go down just yet. So now Virtus Pro, they found an opportunity because there's just way too much creeps for the Farsa to handle. As such, the Fury of the Fiend is just going to be popping right out. The Lord is just going to be down to 131 HP. As such, Andoryu finds himself the Lord kill. Fury had not a lot of HP to kind of work with, as the stick stake is just going to be right onto Hoden. Influence Rage only loses Paquito, as now the rest of members from Virtus Pro collapse themselves onto Hoden. No more frontliners, and it's all just left with Chino, Chan, and Fury.
It's very difficult for Influence Rage to get anything more out of that trade. Yes, they found Supirigorka, but their base was constantly being barraged by Virtus Pro's waves. So they had to split. They had to think of two ways to respond to two very urgent causes. One, the Lord. Two, the team fight. The base was secondary. Just only when the fight was ended did they send someone over. Oh my God, Andoryu! Where did that damage come from?
Even I didn't see that. Was it
Fury?
Chan?
Was that from Chan? Was that from...
He doesn't have his feathered airstrike
Was that from Chino? Yeah, maybe.
I would like to believe that it's Chan.
So now, Influence Rage have to defend.
And now Virtus Pro doesn't want to fight because Andoryu's HP was just way too low.
And now we're back to square one. Influence Rage defends a third Lord.
Oh, the final slash actually did manage to land on the bad card, but this is only going to be something, the catalyst for Virtus Pro to go straight in. As such, they are going to be losing the T3 turn, while in the meantime, Charlie's also out. So one of the artillery is gone, but Baby Fury is going to be next. Yes, he will be. But Influence Rage, they're not going to be stopping. They're persisting. As now,
Happy birthday, ate.
Right on top of the bad card, it seems like the rest of the members from the side of Paquito is just going to be working right out. As such, he gets busted down. Virtus Pro.
We wiped out.
Leaving Hoden left. Maniac coming in from Andoryu as he sees the game.
Bumawi. Hindi na naka-cabbage.
That was scored by Chan game 2, but I think this is just a wee bit sweeter. They are the first team out of Group B to make it to the next stage of the wild cards. Virtus Pro takes the series 2-1.
First seed of Group B. And unfortunately for Influence Rage, with one series won and one series lost, they're now going to be going down over to the second
Gwapo
half
nung
of the
blonde,
bracket.
sabi. Si
They have
Pluto.
only one life left.
Virtus Pro, big smiles, and still, series-wise, undefeated. What a recovery. What a recovery coming in from that game 2.
They have quite a record, right? For series, a 2-0 victory, sweeping victory. When it comes down to the first game of this series, it was also a sweeping victory.
Dominant, 955.
Exactly. Even though they did lose in game number 2, but that is also because Influence Rage have got that ace in their sleeve. But unfortunately, once that has been tackled, attacked, and Jusin's out, at least game 3, they did put quite a bit of a show for us.
Yep, they took away that one thing they could not control in game 2. And they won. They won clean. Kudos to Chan, though. Must give credit where credit is due. Influence Rage's mid laner did play out of his mind. See here in the highlights, over and over and over again. Chan was the game changer. Chan turned things around. Hell, Chan made those 3 Lord defenses possible.
There's just so much range coming in. And honestly, as long as Chan is just right within the vicinity with that great amount of burst plus damage to kind of deal with. In fact, they have been utilizing that feather airstrike time and time again just so that they will be able to play around with that.
Wala na next match. Meron pa last. May last match pa.
Points that we were expecting, right? Again, the way of the dragon having the effect that it now in hindsight, I wish it had more. And of course,
Sino ba laban?
Fury the Phoenix, Chan played around that very well. That specifically. Usually we see the Fury the Phoenix being used after Feather Airstrike.
Yep.
Here he's always waiting. He's always waiting for that first, and then okay, now I'm free.
Yeah.
And he timed that so well. But timing that well can only do so much in the face of sure defeat. And Virtus Pro just was closing in. They were playing off of inevitability.
Just so much to uncover, but Gideon, this is quite a series.
It was one hell of a series. Obviously, like you've already mentioned.
Next
guys,
match.
it's not
Sino
a
ba
savage,
next match?
only just the Maniac and Doryu
Zeta
comes up
tsaka
with the
NM
I
Nightmare.
agree with all the points that you guys mentioned, right? You really captured a lot of the key points that happened in that match. Chan was also playing a strong game. The one bone pick that I have is that Influence Rage, I think on their disengage, if they didn't group up as much on their disengage, that would have been so much better. There were so many abilities that could catch them with the AoE, especially with the glue goblets, the slams at times, and I think the worst yet is when you're dealing with that turtle ship sometimes, especially when you're trying to get out with the Zaman Force. Things like that made the difference and why it was so devastating when they did inevitably lose a couple of these fights. They could have mitigated some of the damage and maybe held on a little bit longer, but that's just personally me, man. Great job coming in for Virtus Pro. However, we do have one last match before we round out the day. It's an elimination match. We're going to be having to say goodbye to one of the teams in Group B. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's been, it feels like today's just a little bit faster, you know? The timings, the 2-0s, the first match that we've had that went all 3 games, but our final match, I want to get some predictions before we even go anywhere.
Okay. Listen up, Minasan. I think Zeta Division has a chip on the shoulder after seeing what happened yesterday against Influence Rage. So, wouldn't it be nice to say Okarai Nasai if they won? If they at least got one series win, right? Wouldn't that be a cool welcome back for them to get one series win and then maybe we come back to reality? But that means we're saying goodbye to Nightmare. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna go for the underdog here. Weirdly enough,
Your underdog is?
Zeta Division.
Okay, because I actually think that Nightmare might have a lot of problem here.
Oh, okay, interesting. I don't know about you guys in chat. Hopefully you can discuss it while in the meantime before we start preparing for that game. I don't know. I feel like I want to say Zeta, but I need to see game number 1 first before anything. How much did they learn off of yesterday? How much can they continue to evolve, boys? I think that with the way the meta has been, continuously progressing, I think there's a couple of things that people might start leaning into. I mean, the Uranus bans are starting to come through Group B. Let's see whether it's... do you think it's going to happen in this upcoming game? Do you think that Uranus is still going to be first side blue ban?
I think Uranus will be high prio, but I wouldn't say ban worthy just yet. Again, just as you would like to see game 1, I'd like to see where the priorities lie.
All right, that's fair enough. We're going to go on a short break, boys and girls, and when we come back, it's the elimination match, the final one of day number 2 for Group B. We'll catch you back right after these messages.
Next match. Papalitan ko lang. Uy, naglag. Grabe naman. Nagtotoyo na si internet. Buti dito, sunod-sunod ng yung mga match. Hindi yung waiting time ng 1 hour.
All from distant lands, one sacred path.
Oh my, Japan is back!
8 teams drawn into 2 groups. GSL format with BO3 matches, but at the end,
only one team advances. We have to find the next piece first, because then we get to write the story. Imagine it. LaFell's MSC 2025 Fury Pro Max Plus. Ain't that good?
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
It's okay. I got this. What's that? Great Scott! It's the group stage format!
The MSC 2025 group stages is going to consist of 16 teams broken into 2 groups, each group balanced and regionally diverse.
So all teams will be drawn into 2 seeds, and teams from the same region can't be drawn into the same group.
Groups will then play a BO3 double elimination. Teams with a 2-0 record and teams that survive with a 2-1 record will then advance. 8 teams will then fight for the ultimate glory.
Is this still a group stage or a group elim stage?
Well, it's kind of both.
It's the best of both worlds! Maybe we're intentionally lost.
Oh, you mean like the time a strong team lost to a weaker team but claimed it was a strategy to go down to the lower bracket for a more dramatic comeback? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, look! That seems like a shortcut to the finale!
Perfect! Now we can solve the final format before they even get here. Let's go! Brigida, let me teach you something. When you see something shining, you smash it. I found it! The sacred format ahead of everyone else.
LaFell!
From now on, you can call me LaFell, the great format discoverer.
LaFell! I think you broke the format.
Oh, we can still fix the format. Thank goodness I'm not with you this time. Don't touch anything else, LaFell. No! Let's look at the knockout stage.
The MSC 2025 knockout stage. 2-0 teams will get to choose which 2-1 team they want to face.
Will the 2-0 teams just pick a weaker team for a better matchup? Or they could just fight a tougher team just to flex?
Your question is, which team gets to choose first? Most game wins or shorter game time?
We're going to have to wait until we get to Riyadh. Until then, let's have a look at the playoff bracket.
Quarterfinals and semis will now be best of 5. Oh, and there's now a best of 5 third place clash before the grand finals.
Final best of 7 to crown the ultimate champion.
There you have it. The MSC 2025
Bukas pa laban ng PH. Walang PH team dito sa wildcard. PH Imports. Sa ano pa, July 23 pa start ng pinaka-main event. Ang pinaglalabanan dito yung isang team na papasok sa main event.
Welcome back, everybody. The wild cards continue our very final best of 3 to close out day number 2 with one team from Group B going home today. Is it going to be Nightmare or is it going to be our new debut of the Zeta
Mga
Division?
import
We
lang.
won't see any of these teams
Oo.
go home, but that's
Daming
just the
PH
nature of
import.
competition. My name is Gideon Q. I'm going to be your host for this match. We've got Eterna and as well as Abstract at the helm for the commentary. Boys and girls, we've had a long day. We'll pull up the schedule for you guys in case you guys didn't catch any of that action. But so far, I mean, things are shaping up to be pretty interesting for the wild cards.
Honestly, the first 2 series getting a 2-0 is not what I was expecting, considering the fact that yesterday's games were quite a bit of a banger.
It was going the distance until the very end. But what about you, Eterna? Any big ups and big downs for you?
I'm still on the second match.
You're still
I'm still on the second match. My heart goes out to the MENA region. Thankfully, they do still have another representative. So
Oh, malungkot siya kanina nung nalaglag yung Falcons MENA.
to be on another
Siyempre home team. Tapos nalaglag agad. Pero may representative pa sila sa main event.
What their prediction was. What is your prediction this time round?
Zeta.
Zeta. Oh,
Zeta.
3-0. 3-0 for Zeta Division. No faith?
Oh.
Is there no faith in Nightmare? What's going on here?
Okay, you start. No, because we're so passionate about this that we want to get things down. But it's okay. Go ahead.
For me, it's probably only based on the fact that Nightmare Esports, they faced up against VP, and that wasn't necessarily something that is the greatest of performance from Nightmare. There's so much things that they're gonna iron out to the point that it might be information overload. They can't really just nip it right in the bud in order for them to face off Zeta with a clear mind.
I mean, I agree with you that VP definitely took, you know, the bigger helm, but then we look at Zeta, their previous matchup against Influence Rage, and then you can tell that the inexperience is starting to make a statement for some of the players.
Fair.
Is that something that's easier to kind of deal with overall coming into it? Because it's not like it's been a long time since yesterday. It's only been a couple hours. How much can you really fit in to get to that level?
This is a tough thing to really understand for Zeta, right? Because Zeta Division game number 1 was absolutely smashing. Like, they knew exactly what they were trying to do. They had June1 that knew his game plan when it comes down to the Uranus. And I believe that during their time in for game number 2 and 3, even though they still have Uranus in game 2, okay, game 2 is the one, they managed to lose that one. Yeah, so game 1, they got Uranus. Game 2, they got Uranus, but they still lost. But the way they interacted in the EXP is just hardly any difference. And then even when they had the Hilda in, that kind of made things worse.
If we want to get nitpicky about it, I think maybe drafts are something that we should be looking at for Zeta.
Okay.
I think yesterday was a very interesting decision to go for Lilia into the Farsa.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, like, these small things can actually cause issues in the game when they're executing things. So I want to see that kind of repair today.
All right, I'm ready. If you guys are excited as I am, let's pull up the team lineups for both sides and introduce them to you before we head on over into the draft. Because again, a lot of these players, especially when coming in from Nightmare, a lot of veterans on their side. But the debut of Japan, the reintroduction of Japan has also been something that I've been looking forward to. Zeta Division with June1, 10, Dusuke, Kani, and as well as Mew Minette. 10 is quite the character.
And that's the big question, I think. The biggest question of all for Zeta is the Hayabusa main pick for 10 in game number 1. Is he a one-trick, a one-game player? I think that has been circling around the minds of a lot of viewers out there. And I think it's a fair point to ask, right? Because come game 2, come game 3, we saw weird things coming in from 10. It feels like when he doesn't get what he wants in the early stage of the game, when things don't go according to plan, when he gets picked off, it's like he tilts.
It's actually a very good point.
Wala ba kayong
where we
chika
talked
dyan?
about structure. Something that Zeta Division, whenever something works towards their way, they know what it is at every single minute. We are trying to reach a certain milestone for minute 1, minute 5. If everything goes well, we are on the curve. We know how to react and we know how to play the game. The moment that initial part of the structure shatters, they are probably headless chickens.
I mean, then let's compare them to Nightmare Esports with By Lucy, Too Easy for Lexi, Solso, Jasmine, and as well as Cammy. Veterans in their own right. I'm surprised by the way that they played yesterday. I was expecting just a little bit more out of them, especially when we're talking about coordination as well as just the raw game IQ, right? There's certain habits that you see professional players do, and they have to be on top of it every single time. Just small responsibilities that inevitably add up.
And that's why I think there's an argument to be made that the cores need to step up. But what we saw from them yesterday is the fact that, honestly, something's wrong with Jasmine and sorry. It's like a miscommunication thing, or I don't know what's going on, but the fact of the matter is, it looked like they always seemed to lose control over the river, so they didn't have the mid-trio prio to utilize in their games.
That's interesting. That's a good point to actually bring up, because I feel like Zeta Division are almost the same way depending on the draft. But hey, it looks like we're going to go into the draft in just a little bit. Abstract, Eterna, this is all you. Good luck. And for all of those watching outside, cheer for your favorite team in chat.
Wow.
Zeta Division, I've been waiting. They've showed us quite a bit of a game, and of course, great showmanship whenever the camera just points right at them. I love their energy, and I hope that they will be able to continue on forward. However, on the side of Nightmare Esports, right, we saw By Lucy, we saw they knew what they want to do as well, but unfortunately, it was a very
Wala pa sila sa lobby. Char. Kita ko pa si Z-chan.
I don't think that they managed to showcase exactly what they're entirely made of in that series.
I think that's fair. I think VP from their performance yesterday and from their performance even today shows us that they're one of the largest contenders to maybe win it all the way to the MSC group stage. So technically, it was a tall order for Nightmare Esports yesterday, so I do agree that I think this will be the proving grounds for Nightmare Esports for the Mekong region, for the Laotians? Laotians. That's a word, right?
I think so.
Okay, let's pretend that that's a word.
It will be. It is.
It is proving grounds for the Laotians.
The people of Laos.
Show us
Laotians.
what they've got.
Paano ba
I
banggit?
think it
Paano ba
was
tawag sa mga
very interesting to
taga-Laos?
see what they were able to bring to the table yesterday. Considering, I like that you mentioned by Lucy, right? Masha and Edith as their go-to. See, very unconventional picks, we would say, in the EXP lane, considering we've been seeing a lot more, Uranuses, Arlets, even some Esmeraldas here and there. I think that would be a little bit more common than the Edith these days.
Now, the thing is, they may not have went for the orthodox picks, something that will work in every situation. However, the Masha as well as the Edith, I can see what they're trying to do. They have a very specific role that they needed to play. However, all of these roles will only play a part in the later stage. Masha only in the later stage can burst down one of the 3 marksmen. In fact, I think that she does have a lot of opportunity to burst down all of the marksmen. Well, in the meantime, having the Edith is also something that requires skilling if you want to deal with a very heavy front line. And at a point in time, I think that was a jungle Uranus. So if you want to deal the true damage, then at least an Edith can play that part with those crowd control too. So I think that the way that Bai Lucy comes in as in the team is that he is and will be the X factor. He will make it and break their own draft.
No, for sure. I agree. I think one of the biggest highlights that we're going to be looking at in this match is the EXP laner matchup, because on the other side we have June1, who's picked up the Uranus.
The Uranus once, twice,
Hilda,
I believe
Hilda
once.
He picked it up as well.
Correct.
So it's also going to be telling to how things are going to go. And speaking of these EXP laners, I also want to touch on the side lanes, right? Because if we take a look at the drafting history coming in from Nightmare, we have the Harith in that first game, right? We had the Harith, we had the Masha, who you consider to be late game.
Yes, that's
so
right.
Which lane are they playing for exactly, right? I think that needs to be the number one thing that they answer to.
So naturally, at least in the previous meta, there's a lot of emphasis onto lane priority, right?
Yeah.
Especially for EXP lane, I want to have a slugfest in the EXP. I want to beat down the EXP so that I can get out of the lane, that kind of stuff. But at this point in time, yes, there's still a little bit of an inkling on that. However, it's not that important anymore because you
again.
As long as we clear the wave well enough, we are able to take a man fight out there. Then that's all fine and dandy, right? So, to your question, if we have a Harith in the gold lane and then we have a Masha over in the XP lane, the initial funnel has to go over to the jungler. But in that game 1 series for Nightmare, their jungle happens to be a Fredrin, which technically doesn't really make full use of those money, other than being tanky.
I guess the idea, exactly, right? So I was a little bit confused. Like, did they want to play for neutral objective takes? If they did, maybe they could have gone in with a mid laner that has a little bit more early game damage, something like the Farsa, perhaps, right? Other than, instead of going with the Jushin, who's more utility based, did they want to go for the late game instead? I hope this question and these issues can be fixed as we are taking a look at the drafts now. Game number 1 between Zeta Division and Nightmare. Iritel and Uranus banned out off the bat.
So one thing that we saw a pattern when it comes down to Zeta Division's game first series of wildcards is that they absolutely love to ban 3 heroes, and that is Lapu Lapu, Yuzong, as well as Jusin. But that, looking at today's games and today's bans, it seems like it is team specific, as they entered this draft with a ban onto Kalia as well as an Irithel. No inklings of what they have done before.
Very early as well. Did Nightmare pick up an Irithel yesterday?
Nightmare, they did not actually.
I don't think
they did not
right?
pick up a single
It was
Irithel.
Granger and Harith, I believe.
So unless they are referring to Nightmare's run during the M Challenge Cups at Season 5, then that would probably make sense. However, the goal pool is kind of huge. Even if you do take out the Irithel, that means that you are trying to look into a first pick into Granger, which is something that we actually did not see at all from Mui Minette, because Mui Minette has been forced into playing 2 Moskov and 1 Natan.
So maybe that's what we're going to be looking at right now, right? I thought maybe the Irithel ban was kind of a way for them to signal that, hey, we might be picking up the 1-1 this time around. But I think Nightmare picked it up really well, right? The 1-1 was banned out here in the first phase, as will the YSS. So Zeta now, first pick selection. What heroes are we looking at? Are they going to go for the Uranus again? Try
Uranus
to go for
has been banned,
oh, you're right.
So if there's 2 ways around it, right? If they want to prioritize onto the Granger, because that's always a safe route to go, while in the meantime, with the Irithel already gone, you kind of ensure yourself to have a pretty good lane. Otherwise, you gotta have to go for other heroes that allows you to be flexible, such as the Badang, which happens to be open still.
Okay, Badang is a really good tool for them to utilize for sure. What other heroes are we looking at here?
Oh, wow!
Maybe they want to go for Hayabusa first pick?
First pick onto the Bruno. And okay, so one thing's for sure, when it comes down to Zeta Division, their competitors has always been, their competitors is Influence Rage, and every single one of their game effectively has a Bruno ban.
Interesting.
So the Bruno ban has always been a respect ban over to Mui Minette, considering the fact that they first pick on the Bruno. They want Bruno, they want Mui Minette to be comfortable to win the lanes, which would probably assume, or rather answer the question why he has been consistently losing his lanes in yesterday's series.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe it's a comfort or a power pick that we're not really aware of just yet. Considering both of these teams have gone against one another at some point in time, maybe in scrims. So maybe that's the information that we're looking at. Plus, the Bruno is really good in the early game, can control in the lane. So Nightmare will have to be able to respond to this. The big question is, what will they be putting in the gold lane for themselves? Farsa and Fredrin, very good early game as well.
Very
Neutral
safe.
objective control, and I think rotations are already really looking good for Nightmare here.
I think the Hayabusa might be the way to go for Zeta. They want to probably focus on something that is more towards the comfort side, right? With Farsa currently unavailable for Piske to pick up anymore, so they're probably not going to go for that direction for now. They picked up onto the Zetian for this match, and also the Gato Gacha, which can flex over to the XP or the roam.
So they're leaving that jungle pick for later.
Okay.
I mean, technically, 10 has only utilized the Hayabusa and the YSS so far, so maybe there's still a pocket pick that we're not aware of just yet. They want to use that to flex all the way towards the end, and it's a debut pick for Suke there with the Zetian. Nightmare now pick up the Lapu Lapu.
So the X Factor kind of thing that we were expecting is effectively gone. They actually had the XP pick coming in for the first phase of the draft. So, okay, we've got both teams that have got some flexibility. Okay, so Nightmare does not have any form of flexibility. They're just lacking of a single roamer as well as a gold laner. Understandably, I would say that Zeta might want to look out for more bans over to maybe 1 ban gold, 1 ban roam.
Yeah, but I think for Nightmare, they ban out the Hayabusa here.
They gotta have to, right?
Right, I mean, 10 on that Hayabusa in game number 1. It shocked the world, right?
Yeah.
So
game 1 was fabulous.
Yeah. Give respect where respect is due, and the Hayabusa does get respected away from Zeta. But what do Zeta want to take away? Do they want to take away an early game hero like the Granger, maybe, who's still available for Nightmares to pick up against the Bruno?
That's a good point. I think Granger should be a point of banning for Zeta. But at this point, I'm just looking out into the horizons, looking for optimal jungle heroes that 10 would potentially pick for himself. Now that we don't have that, Joy could still be something that we can possibly see, especially since it is going to be a Fredrin in the jungle and a Fasa in the mid. You're not exactly that challenged for power spikes anymore against a Fredrin.
I guess a Lancelot is also still an option. I mean, back in the day, we know that the Lancelot was countered by the Fredrin, but because of the changes towards the Fredrin and because of the balancing coming in from the Lancelot, they're 50-50. it's a skill matchup between those two heroes. So the Lancelot is also still an option if they still want to go for that assassin way. But what would be the next ban?
Unless they want a Roger. But we haven't seen a Roger in a long time.
You know what? We talked about this yesterday. It didn't pop up.
Not at all.
Do you think today might be the day?
With the fact that this is the last series, maybe not. I would assume that 10 would want something with absolute mobility. If he plays Fanny.
I mean, you mentioned the Ling.
Ling is one, yeah. This is gonna be a tough nut to crack, to be honest.
Okay, let's take a look at the shutdowns here from Zeta. Technically, they have banned out the Cho, so either it is a respect ban towards NM, or it also could be a hint that they still want to go assassins, right? I mean, Cho would be very susceptible to the, would be a really good counter towards heroes like the Ling, like the Fanny,
okay,
right? So, depending on what this next pick is for Zeta Division, I think that would give us a little bit more of an idea, and that ban is the Arlet.
Let's not forget about one thing, right? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not sure if whether they would even do that, because they can play early game, right? They can play snowball. They have Zetian with great nukes. They have the Bruno. Freya is a snowball hero, and something that we won't expect. And the fact that they are first pick, first band, they can wait until the fourth pick from Nightmare to appear. And if everything rules out well, then the Freya can very potentially appear, just so that they can completely sandbag against that Fredrin.
Oh, you think we're gonna see the crazy Zeta picks? The crazy signature Zeta picks come through.
I'm looking forward to it, right? The crazy picks, the Freya picks, I don't know, the Alucard picks.
But, I mean, Alucard here, I think, is not an option. There's a lot of control coming through with the Badang, with the Lapu Lapu as well.
Yeah.
Even the Fredrin has a layer of taunt,
But
right?
that's the thing. I want to fight as a Freya. So as much as you want to taunt me, yeah, sure, so be it. Come at me. Let me fight, kind of thing, right? But this is a far shot, right? This is just assuming. But if you're looking for something a little bit more on the safer side, I definitely will say that Joy would be the case, as it does seem like he plays that before. But it seems like it will be a Lancelot for this one. And also, the Phoveus.
Interesting pick, Phoveus. Why do you think the Phoveus gets picked up here?
Generally, I think that Phoveus is just pretty good in the lanes, especially once he hits at level 4. He does stand a pretty good chance against the Lapu Lapu. Although both of these two heroes would not have enough power to execute someone. So they are just literally just bruising one another. As long as someone has got better mobility, that is something
Hard rock naman dyan, mga ante.
As long as the Phoveus bruise the Lapu Lapu enough, that is the killing blow for a very potential strike from the Lancelot. And in the meantime, the Lapu Lapu will do the same thing with that mobility from that Farsa.
And in addition, they're going to round things out with the Moskov in the gold lane against the Bruno. So they do have a little bit of global presence and pressure themselves. I think it's a lot safer pick, especially now that we see the Lancelot being one of the spear points for 10. But the big question is, again, will he be able to perform on this Lancelot?
Nightmare's draft is looking good. A very standard front to back, kind of deal with the tanks, then go over to the back sides, right? And they have very tanky composition with the Badang. Was it the Badang they have?
Badang,
Lapu Lapu, and the Fredrin.
Lapu Lapu.
From the Farsa, so early game, I don't think that they will have too much problem per se. All of these tanky heroes still adds up some pretty darn good damage.
So let's see, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in the STC Gaming Hall here live in Saudi Arabia. Let's see whether or not the Zeta Vision can actually take this down, or will Nightmare Esports be the ones to get to match point first? Let's head over to game number 1.
Oh, right off the bat, it seems like I did and PSK is just going to be working on, kind of small little pokes against one another. Something very different from what I was expecting. Most of the time, they will just want to clear their wave and start moving around. As you can see, Nightmare Esports, they already have gotten the control of the river, and this eventually already will mean quite a lot. Information gathering from Nightmare Esports definitely is on the top here.
But this is exactly what we predicted, right, from the drafts. A lot more river control coming from Nightmare because of the way that they have drafted. That composition is very strong, especially for that first neutral objective. I don't know whether or not Zeta Division actually want to go for the contest over that first turtle or not. But considering, I think they can play around their gold lane, right, for Zeta Division. I think that's one of the largest win cons that we're seeing right now.
Absolutely.
But in the lane, we're seeing actually Mui Minet having kind of a tough time against Cammy.
Yeah, I mean, so far, we did see in the previous series that he didn't really have a very good time, right? So hopefully, we were just definitely hoping that something would change coming in from this series now that he manages to finally pick up a Bruno for himself after being absolutely denied in the previous series. So all these change in the draft from Zeta Division is a far cry from what we have seen in yesterday's games.
And the big question is whether or not it will work out right now.
It will change anything,
is kind of low, getting poked in from the range coming in from I Did, and of course the rest of the members here who are controlling yet again still the mid trio. Rotations have been a little bit passive though for Nightmare Esports. I thought they would be playing a lot more aggressive. I guess their first... Oh, wait a second. That's a rotation coming in from I Did.
Yeah, that's the aggressiveness that you were asking for. Is a feather airstrike going up onto Mui Minet. And the flicker on forward just to land the final artillery strike to literally put Mui Minet down into the coffin. As such, the top side, the northern area, Zeta Division will now take control and seize it since Farsa is no longer around in the vicinity. 10 picks up the turtle, and they will effectively win in that small little fight. But unfortunately, that's not going to be over just yet. The Fury of the Phoenix is just going to be popping right out. Kani and June 1. They overstay their welcome, and Nightmare Esports collapse down on the Kani.
Oh, okay. 2 trades happening here between both of these teams. 2 kills for a turtle. What do you think about that trade? I mean, considering we did talk about the win cons coming in from Zeta Division, the fact that Mui Minet is going to be a very important staple player in this game, the fact that they were able to take him down early means that the Moskov will have a better time to get to his power spike. But they lost control over the turtle.
Yep, slightly better time, right? So Nightmare Esports is super value just bringing the Bruno down. You effectively slow his pop-off timing a little bit more. So Zeta Division responded with, okay, since we are already down by value, we gotta have to do something, right? So at least getting the turtle is still a little bit better rather than having nothing at all for themselves.
Because I thought they would completely just leave that and let Nightmare Esports take it, but Nightmare Esports...
That's a huge risk.
That was a decision that they were trying to make, right? Did they want to go for turtle instead, or did they want to go for the pick into the bottom lane? But they chose the bottom lane.
Yep. Personally, I would say that if they're able to stop Zeta Division's Mui Minet from popping off earlier, that is absolutely the direction I would go. To drag on the game a little bit longer, not allowing Mui Minet to hit critical mass. So just yielding and losing the turtle is nothing as compared to getting a kill onto Mui Minet.
I mean, it looks like they do still hold on to the gold control anyway, right? 4 minutes in, Nightmare Esports, they have 1,000 gold ahead of Zeta Division at the moment. But again, it goes back to very passive rotations. I think Nightmare Esports are the ones to try to test the tempo here, especially now. We do see I did already in a position. Do they want to go for a pick onto June 1?
Oh, I did actually popped himself right out of the brush just a tad a little bit, forced to expand the flicker, but he's in the safe spot as his artillery strike will be more than enough to bring June 1 down.
Really great setup now for Nightmare Esports to pick up this neutral objective. We do see some rotations coming in from Kani to give vision and information over to the team. But the fact that they already have that kill in their belts, they have a man advantage. Let's see, too easy for Lexi get this done.
He's going to be right smack in front of the turtle, ready to create some turtle soup for his team. But it does seem like the fist crack is just, or rather, fist break is going to land right on top of Zeta Division. But unfortunately, the Appraiser's Wrath is not going to land on anyone. 10 finds himself taken down, while, of course, Kani had to AOG right out.
Look at that. Nightmare Esports finding their momentum here in game number 1 in this best-of-3 series against the Jap rep, but they're not done.
The SOD lands on the Mui Minet, and even I did coming in as well. This is some range that Nightmare has.
Range and gold lead, right? 2,000 now for Nightmare Esports, and it looks like they're looking for more. Already a lot to say there in the bottom side of the map. It looks like Cammy will be able to pick up that tower as well. By Lucy, also really good zoning control over on to June 1. So things are looking really good for Nightmare Esports right now. Zeta, they're falling behind.
This is actually kind of unfortunate for Zeta Division. With all 3 turtles popping at the northern area, there is absolutely no reason for Zeta Division to find opportunity to actually go down to the bottom lane, which is originally the gold lane, to bring any assistance to Mui Minette. So now he's kind of forced to a certain situation where I think that Bruno, he have to swap lanes, but I don't think that they are doing exactly that, as now we do have a fight that went in. June 1 actually managed to successfully get a hit down and get killed down on the idea while the SOD lands right on top of 10, allowing Cammy to join into the battlefield, forced to flicker right out of Tarn's range, but June 1 is still not going to be stopping. Very relentless fight onto Baye Lucy. He's stuck between 3. As such, he will go down, allowing Zeta Division to pick up 2.
And now this is Zeta Division saying that they're not going to go down without a fight. Baye Lucy gets taken out, and looks like they're going to get a little bit more here, a little bit more of a trade, as the tower will be the target. Jasmine, though, will be able to clear, so they still have that protected. Now, once again, it would be really great to see how the direction has been for the gold laners, because again, I think that Bruno does really well early game, and then really well late game.
Yep.
But the mid game is where the Bruno kind of falls off.
Yeah, so the problem is Zeta Division's Bruno didn't even hit critical mass at all. He haven't even gotten the items required for him to join into the battles here. But it appears he's going to be joining in, as 10 manages to get a turtle down for himself. Too easy for Lexi, takes a quick slide away, while I did pops himself right behind and just going to be working with the feathered airstrike. Didn't seem like we'll be able to get too much kills, but it's already 4 men down for the side of Zeta Division, leaving Piske all alone. But the question is, why was Piske right in the face of I did?
Exactly, right? What is going on? That was essentially a turtle steal coming in from Zeta Division, and Nightmare Esports, they became upset. They were angry, and they were able to get that wiped out here in the 7th minute of the game, and look at them translating it over into the next few objectives. But, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are going into a technical pause, but just kidding.
No,
just kidding.
not at all.
All
Teasing
jokes.
you guys.
All good.
It's just that.
Yeah.
We want to show you the
Napindot
stage
ata
for
nung
Capcom.
nag-ooperate.
See the stage. It's amazing.
Exactly, it's amazing. Now, I have a small little theory. I'm not too sure whether that's true. Maybe they already lost that.
Replay pa
maybe they already
siguro.
lost or didn't manage to use the AOG onto I did. So they thought, hey, we really need to do something about this feathered airstrike. He's really painful. And Piske is just like, you know what?
Hindi naman na-replay.
Flickers forward and try to bump him out of his.
Oh, sakit.
What is that damage? Abstract Suke gets completely obliterated from that feather airstrike coming in from I did.
Oh, man, I did. This guy has got damage. Lethal Nation, 6 kills, 1 death, and 5 assists. Nothing is realistically going to be stopping IDID at this point in time, really. Most of the members coming in from the side of Zeta Division is stuck because they are 5,000 goal behind.
This is a problem. This is a problem. And on top of that, right, Lethal Ignition as well to just, I would say, amplify that damage. We're looking at the damage dealt rankings here. Look at that. Baye Lucy is actually the one on top.
Oh, Jasmine catching 2 when it comes down to Fizz Bang and Crack plus the Flicker combination, and it just seems like things are going great. As Nightmare Esports, they did suffer a little bit of damage, but it's not going to bring anyone down just yet unless Baye Lucy actually goes down there. Net picks up that kill, but it does seem like too easy for Lexi. He is well on his case against the soccer player, earning him that triple kill. The game's not over, the fight's not over, because now Nightmare Esports have a pushing lane, and that's the holy defense popped off with I did.
Oh, grabe naman yan.
That is some crazy damage that Nightmare Esports are portraying here in these team fights.
Ginawa din kay Bruno kanina nung early.
Has been a little bit scrappy. The positioning coming in from Muiminette earlier on, unfortunately, as he went into the right side of the map, gave Nightmare Esports the opportunity to take him down. That's a free lord in for Nightmare Esports, and that's some damage coming in from IDID. 718 right now, with only 3 items, Abstract.
And speaking of which,
items.
Bruno's only got 2. He's not even there. And we are currently 10 minutes into this into the game. We are almost approaching late game, and he's still in early to mid game kind of equipment. And as a marksman that thrive in snowball, this is not going to their direction. June1 does not have the damage. PSK also does not have too much damage. He's a nuker, but hey, there we go. Kani with the AOG landing right on the ID will effectively cancel out the feathered airstrike. But now all eyes on 10. They're trying to get a kill down on 10, but successfully the Thorn Rose gets himself right out of that ditch. But unfortunately, it doesn't like Nightmare Esports. They will lose by Lucy. It's a 1-for-1 trade. PSK almost down, but a flicker backwards allows him to get out of dodge. But the fight's still going on. I did
talaga nung Pars.
after a very long and drawn out fight.
This has been so difficult for Zeta Division in these team fights because of the lack of range and how much damage I did keeps doing. And remember, Cammy already has those 3 items, so look at that damage that he's putting.
What?
That's half health onto Suka, and to make things worse, he has a Malefic gun, so additional range that they can utilize as they go for the siege into the final inhibitor turrets of Zeta Division.
As the creep marches down from the top lane, it does seem like the Phobius wants some tea. As such, he's almost went down to the Appraisal's Red, but in the end of the day, he's still down over to the side of Cammy. At least they managed to get a shutdown on too easy for Lexi. They managed to defend the T3 up top.
But remember, that shutdown is still onto Suke, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least he got some nukes. He can nuke.
Okay, we'll see how this progresses, but as it stands, I mean, Zeta Division are so far behind. This is an 8,000 gold lead for, wait a second, that's a damage coming through. Muiminat already at half health. That feather airstrike is a problem. Okay.
But
Fourth item already built in. We do see the lightning truncheon come to play now.
But I think that at this point in time, the more and the longer that this game lasts, the less effective I did will be from this point, right? We gotta have to also remember that Muiminat may not be very strong in the mid stages of the game, or rather on a normal curve mid stages of the game. However, we are of course approaching the point in time where Muiminat can get full item, and once he's fully item slotted, he already have the Malefic gun as well. He can be a menace in the end game.
I think it really depends. Because at this point, even if Muiminat gets to his power spike, will we even get to that point is number one. And number two, if IDID keeps looking for positions like this, angles like this, to take Muiminat down even before they go for a team fight, before Muiminat is able to even dish out that damage with the basic attacks, then I think IDID will still be a very important, imperative factor in these team fights. I mean, look at the way that he's positioning now.
I think his positioning is actually going to be key. If Nightmare Esports is able to kind of push Zeta Division down to the middle lane, which is exactly what they're trying to do, right? They clear out midway fast enough. The moment that someone expends every single one of his skill, then that's probably going to be their time to pop out. But this is actually going to be a little bit risky as well. But hold on a second, take a look at this. We do have a free creep wave just going to be marching in from the middle and the bottom lane. There we go. Thorn Rose, Phantom Execution, all of them are used, even when it comes down to SOD. Unfortunately, he misses. But this guy is a man on a mission like possessed, only to be sandwiched out by the members of Zeta Division. Finally. Farsa's dead.
I'm glad that happened, right? Because that man shouldn't be able to do that, right? This is a Farsa against a Lancelot, for crying out loud.
That's a plain disrespect.
Biggest disrespect I've seen in MSC Wildcard so far. I mean, what is that? All right, he finally gets shut down, and unfortunately, it will go into the hands of 10. Earlier on, 10 was quite behind in farm and EXP against Too Easy for Lexi, but luckily now 10 is actually caught up 15-15. But still, they do need to clear out these waves as soon as possible. The Lord is still marching in the mid lane, and remember, Nightmare Esports are working with that much range.
And now is the AOG joining into the battle, but unfortunately June1 is a little bit too deep now. They are trying to bring down Too Easy for Lexi, which they will be able to successful to do. June1, he bought enough time. They managed to push everyone else away and keep the main core members from Zeta Division at home.
And luckily for Zeta Division, that inhibitor turret that they had still standing has not yet fallen. And considering that the Lord is going to be spawning on the opposite side of the map, this is something that they can utilize in the next Lord dance. But it looks like Nightmare Esports are still looking for something.
It does seem like things are going to be pretty awry for the side of the Zeta Division. It is, of course, the Feather Airstrike that's already been gone and done, but there's still another good defense from Zeta Division. They can drag this.
All right, they go for the disengage. All right, they don't want to make mistakes here. They don't want to give the momentum back into the hands of the Zeta Division, considering that gold lead that we were talking about has actually shrunken, right? Earlier it was, what, 8,000 gold lead? for Nightmare, it's now, I can't count, 5,000. There you go.
Now. It's 5,000 now. But right now, honestly, that Feather Airstrike is practically free. We're constantly seeing that Feather Airstrike, and even for Piscate that's playing as the Zetian, her Fury of the Phoenix have got a way longer cooldown as compared to the Feather Airstrike. So they gotta have to stagger a couple of some of these skills. Someone gotta have to be the one that stops Farsa, or someone else gotta have to, kind of wait for the next one.
Let's see what happens here.
As such, Fury of the Phoenix gets himself some vision. Deploys himself on the Jasmine, takes one down. Great start. As now the Lord will be popping down in 30 seconds. Perfect timing, because Jasmine will not be here in time unless both teams decide to dance it off.
Yeah, they need to buy time now, right? They don't want to go in for a 5v4. We can see that Cammy is trying to buy a little bit more time by pushing out that top lane as well. So things are still looking okay for Nightmare Esports, but they have to be careful with these things, right? It takes 1, 2, 3 moments, and we've seen actually only one moment for things to turn completely around for them. So Nightmare Esports have been holding on for the control, but they need to stay consistent. Too easy.
This is their window. This is the only point in time whereby the Lord is not on the opposite of his hard lane. As such, I did! One of the core members from the side of Nightmare Esports has already been blasted into the
Gumagantay na si Lancelot.
The Lord is currently lower than half HP. Kali takes the stride and is going to be putting himself right in the center. Gets a good taunt down on the Jasmine. As such, with break and crack down. Muy Minette, the next one that will go down. 10 picks up the kill over to the Lord. And now he slides himself right out of the battle, only for himself to puncture through the wave of creeps, trying to buy a little bit more time. But what will that do for him?
This is crazy, right? 10 single-handedly, despite him getting taken down, kind of improve the odds for Zeta Division to stay in this game. They still have the Lord, so they do have a little bit more control over these next few waves, but looks like Nightmare Esports one
Uy, grabe.
As now we will have another one of these that will land out of the June. Unfortunately for the side of Zeta Division, they may have the Lord, but Nightmare Esports is literally threatening their power right in their homes. The Lord will be shut down this quickly, and Nightmare Esports is right in the face of Zeta Division with Kali coming into the next one. It's going to be melted down almost instantaneously, and the next wave of creatures is going to be coming down to the bottom side quickly, and Nightmare Esports will shove it right in the face. Game 1.
Match point for Nightmare Esports, representing Mekong there from Laos. What a statement.
Wow.
What a game.
Nightmare. At one point in time, I really hoped and thought that Zeta Division could have done something, right? Because we were coming to the late stages of the game. Everyone that needed a farm already has the farm. And it's all about the execution, and they even managed to get a kill down onto I Did. Early on to the Lord's fight, they don't have to lose any more members. We've got 10 that managed to take the Lord. However, he decided to kind of like swing all the way backwards and kind of buy more time against Too Easy for Lexi, which I think didn't really quite.
I can't.
I agree, but I think again, it was very difficult to execute without the proper tools.
Yeah.
They wanted to go for the Bruno in the gold lane, makes sense. But then they didn't have mid-trio prio.
Yes. They also didn't have any form of opportunity for them to go down to the bottom lane to, engage in a battle where Bruno will be able to join in, right? As Bruno is an early game marksman, unlike any other marksman, you're kind of encouraged to join battles kind of early so that you can kind of pop off, get yourself a little bit of that snowball. But in this game, every single one of these turtles were toward the northern side, and Muy Minette is always being targeted with the superior mobility coming in from the Farsa.
I didn't necessarily blame them for kind of losing control over these objectives, right? Because I think that's what the Fredrin has an advantage with the Farsa as well in the mid lane, so they're able to clear a lot quicker, they're able to rotate a lot faster as well. But why didn't they play for Muy Minette? That was the one thing that I couldn't really get my head around.
That's my question as well. It's one thing for the objective to not play towards your lane, but during those downtimes of the turtle, they haven't really been visiting Muy Minette down in the bottom lane. In fact, he has been completely all alone. Their own jungle is completely wide open, no information whatsoever. I think that they are overexpending their resources on the opposite side of the map, thinking that, hey, if we put 4 members up to the northern side of the map, then maybe the opponents, like Nightmare Esports, will echo back and say, okay, let's put, if they have 4, we put 4. And we'll try to fight it out, kind of thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Only for them to realize, oh crap, they're actually going for Million Minute.
So it feels like they were a little bit confused as well. Oh man, I think we might have underestimated Nightmare Esports.
Definitely, their series against VP did not tell their story.
I mean, we did mention that in the beginning, to be fair.
To be fair,
okay?
to be fair, okay.
So let's get the few cents coming in from Gideon. Gideon, what did you think about game number 1?
Ooh, that was game. That was a little messy, I'm not gonna lie, because I think the biggest problem that I'm seeing here from the side of wildcards, teams don't recognize how far ahead they actually are. Like, that was a pretty big winning scenario for Nightmare. Like, I did so much damage. I did literally almost everything.
You did?
I did.
Oh, the player.
That's why he's got
Right,
one of the
right.
best IGNs. I love it. I was thinking about it in the back the whole time, riffing off as many lines as I could. But he was in a phenomenal position. It's really strange to see when you have, well, not even him. Everybody else was actually pretty far ahead.
Yeah.
Even their gold laner was in a really good position. I'm just surprised they didn't close out the game sooner, and it dragged out to a point where they started to make some pretty silly mistakes as well. I did is dealing with 10 all the way in his base and then misses the ability to get squished. The fact that he's positioned himself in an awkward flank angle during the last Lord take that 10 was able to steal away, that could have gotten a lot worse if Tsuke was just playing a tad bit better. The ult timings definitely were not as good as I was hoping it would be. I don't know. It feels like Nightmare, they got away with a lot, but Zeta Division definitely had opportunities to punish as well. So weighing the odds, generally a pretty messy game for me. That's me though. That's me. But for you guys, what do you think are some of the bigger adjustments that need to be made? Because, I mean, considering how inconsistent both teams are, and I think that Nightmare probably has the better early to mid game, it's the late game that I'm most worried about if it does ever get there, if Zeta have a scaling style of comp.
Honestly, for Zeta Division, I think that they just need, if they favor that Bruno, they have to play with the Bruno and for the Bruno. They left him alone a little bit too much. We talked about that previously. And as for Nightmare, I think they're fine. Just don't play with their food. That's all.
I think it's overhyped.
We're so close to the win.
Right? Like, I can do this. I can do this. Guys, let me do this.
Boy,
Hey, what
I did a thing.
What if I do this?
Because that would be definitely like clip.
Yeah.
It's a clippable moment if he was able to get, 10.
He
right?
was. It was going to be a clippable moment. Guys, we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we might just see the conclusion, a team go home, or we're going to see the full series, baby. Let us know what you guys think about either one of these teams in the chat and some of their adjustments. We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, more MLBB action.
Sana 2 minutes lang. 2 minutes waiting. Yan, 2 minutes lang. Para laro agad, no?
This land
G agad.
We now come to match point for Nightmare Esports. Zeta Division are now on their last potential game. They could look to even it out, but if they get eliminated now, a lot of hard
Laglagan to, matalo.
This might just be a Nigel moment for the team. Keep calm, keep steady. Nightmare Esports also make mistakes. My name is Gideon Q. Welcome back, everybody, to the Wildcards, our very final series of the day. The elimination match of a lifetime here at day number 2 of the Wildcards, here at 2025 Esports World Cup live in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We've got our casters at the ready as well, Abstract as well as Eterna. Let's bring them in here because this is really, really important. We've seen that there are holes in both the gameplays of Nightmare Esports alongside with Zeta Division. Do you think that if they can curb them, especially if you're in Zeta's position, let's just fix our early mid?
Fix the rotations. That is
fix the rotations.
That's probably the main thing for me, right?
I would say win con is more than
win. I was supposed to play towards their win con.
Drafts?
Drafts.
What? What was weird about that draft in game 1?
Oh, like drafts and win con, like together.
I see. That's fair. It's an important adjustment to make, but at the same time, it feels like Nightmare Esports, they got the better, the experience is starting to show here.
As much as I really want to see Zeta Division be able to pull off what they did in Match 1 Game 1, I'm not sure whether we'll see the same thing, right? Maybe Hayabusa back onto 10 to just kind of show off a little bit. I don't think that they will get that opportunity to play Uranus again. But if they want to play along that reigns of having a Uranus just kind of dominating the EXP lane, dominating the opponent's jungle, it has to be Lapu Lapu is one thing, Slugfest, or Yuzhong. Yuzhong, in fact, hasn't been seen for a long time. And in fact, for the side of our boys here in Zeta Division, I think that they have actually focused on Yuzhong bans in Match 1, Game 1, and Game 2. So technically, they know the power of Yuzhong, but they haven't played that yet.
Well, if we're thinking about the EXP potential ways to kind of stop Farsa, stop abilities going through, I was thinking, why not go to one of the safer EXP laners, right? Why not just go into the Terizla? I feel like the penalty zone is such a big game changer, especially considering that a majority of the fights that we've seen happen around the neutral objectives in the first place, right?
I would definitely say so, yeah. I'm just not too sure if the Terizla have a spot in the lane right now, given the meta heroes that is currently available.
Sure. If it's like a Uranus matchup, I'll say, yeah, throw the Terizla in there, that's fine. If it's CC, it's like, ooh, maybe not. We might need to diverge away, but let's attack the draft first. So far, Farsa has just been a menace, an absolute menace. Based on what we've seen here at the Wildcards thus far, we have seen Zetian kind of come into play because of that, but Pyusuke doesn't feel very comfortable on it. So therefore, where do we go?
Shift the focus away from Pyusuke to deal with the Farsa. Back to the XP, as you were mentioning, I think, okay, Terizla, one thing, Yuzhong, the next one. Anyone that have a very reliable stun to kind of deal with a stationary target, take that burden away from Pyusuke. Let Pyusuke be the one that deals with that a little bit more, in order for them to kind of encapsulate the early stages of the game.
But I think in order for that to happen, we have to go back to the basics. We have to go back to the draft. So let's say Zeta still come into blue side, which that's what I was about to mention. Why the Irrital?
It'll be interesting, but it's up to you guys. I'll let you guys handle the draft. I'm walking away from this. Good luck and goodbye. It's a turn. Abstract, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Gideon, for helping us out there earlier on. But it looks like the same bans are still going to be rolling through. I think one of the main things that will be different this time around is the Jushin ban from Zeta. It's not the Boxia. So the Boxia is still up for grabs. I think they're putting Nightmare in a spot here. What do they want to ban out? Because technically if they go for a ban onto the Farsa, they're going to be able to get the Boxia. If they ban out the Boxia, they can pick up the Farsa for themselves, perhaps.
Quite a lot of heroes is currently open, actually. The only few things that we really gonna mention is the fact that June 1, or maybe June 8, I'm not too sure which is the right one, but the Uranus is not possible. But instead, for the side of Zeta, they have decided, you know what, let's pick up the Farsa. Let's get ourselves a couple of high ground and just force Nightmare into us, and we'll answer the question later afterwards.
I like this, yeah.
So now, we have the Boxia. Exactly what you were kind of loosely mentioning about having the Boxia, having the which one kind of goes in first. How are we going to tackle into the crux of the issue? Boxia is still a 3-role flex hero. doesn't really tell us the full story.
But there are a lot of ways to counter it, right? We've seen the CC being a big problem for the Baxia. Kimmy is an option, but technically they've already went in for the Farsa instead. We're looking at heroes like maybe the carry potentially to kind of be able to stop this Baxia and his presence, especially in the early stage of the game. But I do agree, these are some flex picks coming in from Nightmare that they are going to be able to utilize over Zeta.
Yep.
With the Arlet, who technically is still also flex.
Yep, it's a very difficult question. It's a very difficult thing to ask, right? But I don't think that we'll see another XP. Oh crap! No, you can still see another XP. Considering the fact that Baxia, if he were to go to jungle, Arlet goes over to roam, then you can have an additional XP later join into the mix for Nightmare. But Zeta Division, they still absolutely love their Bruno. So Bruno plus Farsa, pretty good combination. I kind of have a feeling that they might want to play a Fredrin here. It kind of feels like it has been a natural combo having a Fredrin plus a Farsa.
It makes sense. I like the adaptations here. I like that you mentioned it as well, right? Because last time it was very difficult for the Bruno to get to the point where he was supposed to get because they didn't have mid-trio prio. So now with the Farsa in the helms, they didn't have to ban in the first phase. Turns out they take it for themselves. With the Lapu Lapu, this shows that if the Lapu Lapu can get that level 4 ASAP before the turtle, they should be able to have control over the neutral objective take 2 if they have the Fredrin. So for Nightmare, I think Fredrin might be banned out in the second phase, depending on what this next pick will be. Do they go for something like the Valentina, the Zetian, to kind of... Ooh! They deny away the Hayabusa and pick it up for themselves. And it's a considerable threat to Bruno as well as the Farsa.
Yep, so backlines, be wary. How are they gonna be dealing with this Hayabusa is ultimately gonna be the main question. Now, the fact that we still have flexibility on the side of the Baxia as well as the Arlet kind of forces Zeta Division to a point that, okay, we definitely gotta ban mages, because it's kind of tough to tackle the next one, right? There is actually, goal lane. Yeah, never mind. So it's already decided. One of them will be XP, one of them will be roam, so they're lacking of mage and goal lane.
The Kimi gets banned. I think that's a very smart ban. Really good control as well in the early stage of the game. Plus they already have the box here, so they already have peel for the Kimi if it was picked up for themselves. Zeta sniffed this out, and they also deny the Granger, who technically would also have a good time against the Bruno in the early portions. Lancelot also gets respected away. What do Zeta want to do here? Do they want to go for something crazy like the Fanny?
If they
or
want to
stay
play
Fredrin?
if they want to play early game, Fredrin is always going to be a pretty good choice. They need kind of strong front lines. They need some priority. Oh, I don't really like that. It is going to be Cammy back onto that Harif. But Diggy! Wait.
Diggy? Awesome.
Okay, so at least the Fredrin did came out, but Diggy! Diggy can be very annoying. It gives you vision across the map when it comes down to these brushes, but when it comes down to crowd control, the time journey doesn't necessarily do too much for your team, because Nightmare, when it comes down to crowd control, is only the final slash, and by the time you pop off with your time journey, you are already at the final destination of the final slash.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, is it just...
And the gold laner doesn't put out any form of crowd control.
Exactly. Very interesting. I think we'll think about it just a little bit more, but the Harris pick coming into the lineup and the Yves as well?
Okay.
Into the Diggy.
Okay.
Yves into
Diggy. This is scary, right? This is one of the trifecta lineup, except that we don't have the tri part. Having the Yves or a Juicin playing into the Harif will always be good, because they just want to play area denial. Just deny as much area as much as possible. But one thing that we need to remember is that real world manipulation lacks the range against the Feathered Airstrike. So whoever pops their ultimate first ultimately will be the one on the losing end, mage to mage.
Hey, we wanted an entertaining game, right? So we are going to get an entertaining game with the Yves. I like that, because I agree with you. I think right now, Nightmare are in a position where they want to play with their hitboxes, right? So if Nightmare can create a team fight where Zeta are caught in their boxes, both the box of the Shaman Force and the box of the Real World Manipulation.
Yep.
This could go in favor of Nightmare, but the problem still remains. Harith, 0% win rate, takes a lot of time to get to that power spike. So let's just
0% win rate, Harith.
Okay, so at least for the Sun of Zeta division, I can kind of understand and see why they favored the Diggy here. Because whenever they saw that Cammy picked up that Harith, they understand, okay, area denial is probably going to be the way to go for Nightmare Esports. That means locking down onto crowd control and all that kind of jazz is going to be something great for Nightmare. As they can't react over to the final pick of Nightmare, their blind pick would to pick up that Diggy in order to always get themselves out of very clutch situations such as choke points. It's always guaranteed for them to run out with CC immunity and shields.
I agree, and moreover, I still think that the Yve pick into the Diggy is
Wait, what
kind
is
of
he
odd.
losing in lane? Fasa shouldn't be losing in lane against Yve that much, is she?
I mean, technically, they do have a little bit more spam ability, I guess, from coming from the Yve. I think maybe the way that they've been
mobility and
playing it
all.
has been a little bit better, maybe. But look at this, too easy. Already looking for something here in the bottom side of the map. It doesn't commit onto it.
Forces out the retribution from the side of 10, also leaving 10 at level 3. So that is definitely going to be a small little problem for Zeta, but it's not too bad because they can always enter into the next fight, or rather enter into the turtle fight with a level 4 Fredrin anyways. The only problem is if they were to drag out for level 5. There's, you found out something.
I had a eureka moment.
Oh.
This is the classic Bruno-Diggy combination.
Oh,
the babysitting Diggy Bruno. So that's the idea, right? We were talking about how Muiminette wasn't able to get to that point, and so they choose a support to kind of aid Muiminette to get to the point to play around the Bruno. That's why
so
in
that
turtle
is the
number
answer.
1, they let it go, because that's not the point that they're trying to go for. They're going back to the win cons, and they're playing for this Bruno.
Okay, then that sounds very sound, in fact. The fact that Muiminette has never been able to win in his lanes in the first series and the second, and the fact that they played the Bruno now, they need to definitely put some resources up in the goal lane. And we were even talking about for the fact that, look, they didn't send any reinforcement over to Bruno. So why not we keep one person in the goal lane? Okay.
But then everything else will suffer. So, because we haven't seen this in so long, Abstract. I think it's been a couple years since we've seen this combination.
I don't even remember this.
Exactly, right?
I know about
so
babysitting
long.
service, but not exactly onto a Diggy, because in this case and in this game, the first thing you think about is crowd control, immunity. That's the first thing whenever you look at a Diggy. Because technically speaking, if we want to take a look at a babysitting, there is Rafaela, there's Florin, which actually will work pretty great for this team, actually.
And funnily enough, coming into the MSC wildcards, we haven't even seen any of those support heroes.
Exactly.
Which were actually, you know, top on the block. But wait a second.
RWM is just going to be popped right out, but unfortunately for the side of for the side of Nightmare Esports, PSK as well as 10 ran away pretty effectively, even when Nightmare has expended 3 ultimate.
So they haven't been able to pick up anything other than that neutral objective, right? Rotations still not working into their favor. I think there's something going to be happening here in the top side of the map. But no, too easy. He doesn't commit.
No bueno. No catch coming in from 10. But speaking of which, this is still kind of like an early game thing that we want from Zeta Division. They can, of course, drag as much as they want, but they are still technically going to be on a tad bit of a timer. But unfortunately, too easy for Lexi, looking for an opportunity on the PSK.
Not getting it, though. Just going to force a wings by wings there as another rotation happens here for the side of Nightmare. And again, that's their main focus here. They're going for the neutral.
Nag-start na pala MSC. Oo, wildcard money.
No contest coming in from Zeta, who meanwhile on the other side of the map are looking for a cross-map play, looking for a pick onto Cammy.
If they do have a babysitting Diggy for Muiminette, then I really hope that Muiminette goes for the Berserker's Fury's first item, just so that they will have that power spike super early into the game. As such, it is going to be the time rewind. It's just going to be connecting down onto Jasmine, takes him down pretty effectively. In the meantime, we also do have got the time journey popping right out. Not going to be enough for Kani to stay alive, though. Cammy is completely untouched throughout the entire ordeal. Jun1 joins into the fray. He does have the Bravest Warriors going on top, but unfortunately, I don't think that they have enough damage. Muiminette actually forces himself right into the RWM, but that is quite a bit of kills that Zeta Division managed to net for themselves.
Very aggressive flicker there coming in from Muiminet. Luckily, at this point, I think IDID's damage is not quite there.
Not there.
So, not punished, and yet they were still able to take control over the kill onto Bai Lucy. But remember, those were a lot of resources expended by Zeta Division there just to get Bai Lucy down. Meanwhile, Nightmare going to be able to pick up that turret in the bottom side of the map thanks to Too Easy for Lexi.
Yep, I did still have a lot of farm to his name as compared to the Farsa. Farsa having only 2.2 thousand gold, and damn, the Yip with 3.4. So in terms of the power spike, I did definitely will still be a lot more valuable.
We'll see. That's the Filipino experience showing through here from the side of Nightmare Esports. They're still gonna put some pressure here onto the top side of the map. It looks like Cammy is aided as well in that particular venture. Jasmine by Lucy. That's a concealed play. Are they gonna go for it?
Wants to go for the proxy, but not gonna crash.
Parang walang damage si Bruno.
Nightmare Esports managed to zone the Zeta Division out of the
Ano
T1
pa lang?
turret,
6 minutes pa
allowing
lang.
them to get second T1 turret.
Another trade that they're going to be able to pick up for themselves. And when it comes down to the next neutral objective, it is going to spawn in under 1 second. And Too Easy for Lexi is at level 10.
Oh
so
no,
wait a second.
Muiminet! He got caught, but never mind. He managed to turn things around, managing to get a kill down onto Cammy. A little bit too quick on the trigger. It was a mistake from Muiminet, only to turn it otherwise.
That's a time journey for you, right? The ability to go for the cover. That's why Muiminet went in for Flicker instead. But look at this.
It is the turtle that will be going to the hands of 10. Nightmare Esports realizes that, okay, we lost the turtle, we gotta fall back.
He's a level below of Too Easy for Lexi. Still gonna be able to get that retribution down. That's very interesting.
This is kind of rough for Nightmare, but it's okay because they still have pretty good skilling over to the later stages. The timer is actually more on Zeta Division, in my honest opinion, unless they go late into the game where Piske as well as June has, Piske and Muiminet has enough farm to kind of max themselves out.
I wonder what happens, right? Late game Bruno, late game Harith. Let's say both get to that late game power spike. Who wins in that 1v1?
Honestly, I would still say that it is Bruno. Bruno really hits like an absolute truck. However, one of the big difference is that if Cammy actually builds Wind of Nature against Muiminet, while in the meantime Muiminet cannot build a Wind of Nature against Cammy. But in the most realistic fashion is not about the marksman against the marksman, it's about more of what are the threats that are going to the marksman, which in this case, Too Easy for Lexi, he can actually go for Muiminet, which we might be able to see at this point in time, because Too Easy for Lexi is currently slowly making his way over. Did not manage to get a kill down on the Bai Lucy, though with great talk.
Nagpa-fire pa si Bruno.
On to Jasmine, the Appraiser's Wrath, just absolutely floor it down over to the side of Jasmine.
It feels like Nightmare Esports time and time again are forcing fights out of Zeta Division when Cammy's nowhere in a position to deal out the damage that he's supposed to, right? So I wonder why they keep going for it. Technically, there is damage coming in from Too Easy for Lexi, but I think maybe a little bit more time would be warranted to get to that point to allow Cammy to get to the power spike. Bai Lucy goes in again.
They really want to take down the T1 turret here. It is going to be Bai Lucy that overcommits into that fight, just hoping that he'll be able to throw his body just to ensure the survivability of the T1 turret.
I don't know, but this has happened more than once, Abstract. Bai Lucy going in first, no backup, no follow-up.
It has been a consistent pattern, right?
Funny timing as well.
I think that he's undervaluing himself.
Undervaluing?
Yeah, he's undervaluing himself to the point that, hey, you know what, even if I die, it's fine because I'm protecting something else, such as a turret.
That's so sad. But meanwhile, looks like Zeta are quick on their feet here, already opening up the Lord.
Oh my god, it is actually a battle of the mages. 1-for-1 trade going on about, but unfortunately, Zeta Division actually gets the Lord as they now move on to the next target. Jasmine taking a little bit too much soccer balls into the face as a rewind time is just going to be touching onto Jasmine, and Muiminet takes the last hit on top of him as well. We even do have Cammy that actually dropped down the Zaman Force. Unfortunately, that's not going to do too much for them.
Things are going wrong for Nightmare Esports. Ladies and gentlemen, here in game number 2, already at match point, just needs to steal the deal. But unfortunately, they haven't been getting their way in these team fights. IDID gets taken out right before they even allow the real world manipulation to hit its mark. And so the value of the team fight becomes not there, non-existent. Zeta Division 1 for 3 trade. They have a Lord marching down as well into the bottom side of the map.
Nightmare Division, Nightmare Esports, they're really gonna have to be really
Pinagalo niya.
The amount of catches that Zeta Division have got for themselves is a little bit too much for Jasmine to follow up on. As such, Nightmare, it is a 4v6 situation right now. We do have Biscuit that will be popping up with that feathered airstrike to hopefully be able to zone everyone else away. But this is a T3 turret in the bottom lane, almost going down. Massive bonus already.
That's so much damage as well from side of Zeta Division, and it looks like they are looking for more here. Looking for yet another siege.
Piske finds himself tough spot, but he has a lot of shields. We got too easy for Lexi. Comes in from the back. He finds the opportunity. Brings down Piske down. 10 may be able to get a kill down on ID, but it is gonna be a trade, leaving June the last member remaining.
4-for-1 trade there, Abstract. I think Zeta stayed a little bit too long there, and Nightmare Esports were able to capitalize over it from
tumambay din.
punishing the mistakes from Zeta. They wanted to end it as soon as possible. They wanted that final tower, but wait a second. June 1 is all alone here. Nightmare Esports going to be able to rush through mid, and that's another tower falling in favor of Laos.
Now the thing is, for Zeta Division wanting so bad that T3 turret, I can't naturally blame them because technically they are on a timer, right? But unfortunately, it's still a little bit of a greedy case because Nightmare, yes, they did lose Jasmine. That is kind of an opportunity, but you still cannot take away the fact that Nightmare Esports, they still have got a pretty good goal lead for themselves.
With that gold lead, I'd love to see the items. I'd love to see how far Cammy is when it comes down to it. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And there it is. The 3 items are built in. I think Divine Glaive would be the very next if they want to go for a little bit more of a greedy build. But with the Holy Crystal already in the hands of Cammy and not too much magic defense, I think this could be the moment where Nightmare Esports find their mark.
Okay, so right now, I think that if it's going to be a mage versus mage fight, I don't think that is going to have too much issues dealing with the Feather Airstrike, given that he's got the Blood Wings now. But regardless, with the Lord currently spawned down in the bottom lane, with a Hayabusa on the side of Nightmare Esports, they got to adapt, right? Because this is essentially an Ube from Zeta Division. There's not much things that too easy for Lexi can do with his Ogi Shadow Kill. So as much as possible, if he's able to find an avenue, kind of push down the opposite lane, trying to apply a little bit of pressure through macro, it would be great. But in the meantime, there we go. It does seem like both of the mages decided to pop their own individual ultimate while June goes into the back trying to deal with ID to stop him as much as possible. But too easy for Lexi is going to be the one to go down from the side of Nightmare Esports. But Zeta Division will lose 3. Nightmare pushes their way through. They don't have much of the follow-up to try to stop Tens or June. So they are going to be focusing on to the next. This is just going to be a wet noodle fight and Tens will just casually walk away.
Wow, 3-4-1 trade already, and it looks like they're looking for more here. 2v1. Can 10 get out in time?
They are just ensuring that 10 will not be able to recall back home because that Zaman Force will drop that T3 turret in the middle lane so easily. And 10 is currently kind of stuck there.
Luckily for them, they still have control over the Lord, so there is still a little bit more time, and Nightmare will not be able to end it here and there it is. Abstract. That's the next item, Divine Glaive, already built in. So even the frontliners in June, in 10, they're going to start to feel it because despite that Radiant armor, that Divine Glaive should be able to burst through it. And again, we were talking about Muy Minette earlier on. Remember when he made that flicker play? Very aggressive. They were able to get by Lucy down, but he did it again into Cammy, who's already at this amount of items. So he got taken down, he got punished for it, and again, these mistakes are going to be continuously utilized against Zeta if they still want to look for control here, and if they still want to stay in this best of 3.
And now, take a look at the items. We are this close to Bruno getting fully slaughtered when it comes down to the itemizations. Perhaps we're almost there, but in the meantime, the Farsa, Farsa only has got 6.4 thousand gold?
Falling behind, 135.
Falling behind a lot, Piske. I think it's
layo, grabe.
Positioning actually.
Taas ng gold ni Im.
And to make things worse, look at that additional item coming in from IDID. That's a Divine Glaive built in on top of everything else in his kit.
Oh man, this is kind of tough to swallow, huh? Zeta Division is slowly losing out in terms of farm, and PSK is so far away from establishing good damage to Nightmare. So everyone else is just it tickles kind of thing, right? I did his tanky with the Blood Wings. He's got great slows coming in from the swipes and got good damage when it comes down to the pops as well.
That's why these margins were
Look at that.
as important, right? Yeah, look at that. Number 1 on damage dealt rankings. That's I did. Wiminette falling a little bit behind there as the first in his team. And the big problem is, if he gets taken out before the fight even occurs, then that's going to be a big problem. You highlighted it best, I think, Abstract. I think Zeta Division were on a ticking time bomb. They went full into this combination between Kani and Muiminette, the Diggy and Bruno combination, but they didn't capitalize over it before Nightmare Esports were able to get to the power spike. So now they have to really think about this, because technically they also don't have too many people that they can send to the far lane to control and utilize in the Lord dances.
Exactly. Not much of a thing that they can do when it comes down to the macro, because right now what they're doing is pure micro, play for team fights, just ube the crap out of everything. So the moment that Too Easy for Lexi finds the avenue, from the back lines, completely blindsided Zeta Division. Where did that come from? As Zeta Division now finds himself absolutely demolished. Jasmine manages to find himself running away with just a sliver of health. The ones left is going to be 10 as well as June, the only 2 front lines, because this is the back coming in from Nightmare Esports. Where are all the damage? They are all dead.
One more away from a wiped out. Ladies and gentlemen, things are going ever as wrong for the Japanese reps here in Zeta Division. We haven't seen them in half a decade on the international stage, and it looks like that journey will end here.
It's all on PSK now. He only had 4 seconds to come back in. June 1 needs to buy as much time as possible. And it does it! They managed to clutch it out! They held on from the imminent push in the middle lane. PSK forward and captured by Lucy!
And they're able to prolong their lives. Suke finally stepping up here in the 17th minute of the game, prolonging Zeta Division's tournament life here at the MSC wildcards, as they once again are going to be able to fight back with 26 seconds left on the clock for Bailucci. They also don't have a jungler here. Ladies and gentlemen, this should be a Lord for the Jap reps.
There is no jungler from the side of Nightmare Esports. This is quite a swing, as the Lord now credited over to Zeta Division. This is not an evolved Lord just yet, though. The only thing that Zeta Division could possibly be able to get
Hindi pa na ako ilito. Isang kalabit na lang yan.
Then there's T3 down.
What a turnaround, Abstract.
What a change.
Man, this has been an up and down journey for both of these teams, and I think timing was just so good for Suke, right? Finally able to get that Holy Crystal.
Yes.
We saw the damage, and unfortunately, from the side of Nightmare Esports, they were clumped up as 3, so the damage went in full throttle. That's 10.
That's not good. Taunting down, and now they managed to lock down over to Jasmine. He's trying to walk away. However, the damage coming from women is just a little bit too much. The Lord locks on over to the turret. Cammy loses half HP. June 1 focuses and drones him away, as now the bravest warrior will be taking up to the front line, while and to hopefully zone everyone else away. As June 1, he lost his immortality. They tried to focus down onto the turret in the middle lane, but they don't have any creeps because
sila naman maubos.
The creep wave slowly moves right in. Piske tries to be an artillery and snipe down onto I did, but he don't have the opportunity just yet. They managed to buy enough more time, and now Cammy goes
Grabe!
Zeta Division, they're climbing back as I did. The last member remaining at Zeta Division.
Uy, epic comeback! Grabe!
We're going all the way, ladies and gentlemen, as Zeta Division fights back here in game number 2. They're not going to go down without a fight. What a way to end this day. Woo! Zeta Division.
I can't, man. Oh my god. To be right at the doorstep of exiting MSC Wildcards 2025, only for June to say, let me hold on the door for you, and kept it shut. PSK joined back in, and you know what? He may only have 3 items, but he got the job done.
Finally showing up in those final moments. We were even talking about the Farsa, right? We weren't feeling the damage, we weren't feeling the impact, the influence. Meanwhile, this was a Farsa first pick. But it turns out he was just a sleeping beast, right? A sleeping giant, finally able to get that holy crystal, being able to dish out the damage, was able to protect that base and prolong it for things to turn completely around for Nightmare Esports as they lost the ball as it was rolling for them.
It shouldn't be the case for Nightmare. It truly shouldn't. The fact that they lost the timing into the middle lane, I think that they don't really have a choice there. I don't blame Nightmare for not being able to end the game. The timing from June, buying time and allowing PSK to come in and get the kill, I think that that is fine because they have one shot and they will take that shot. But what happened to Jasmine? I think that turned the game completely upside down. The fact that he was in their own jungle, in the small little pixel brush, to gain information for something that they don't need because the Lord is already marching down to the bottom lane. You would expect an escort team for the Lord because that is a guaranteed T3 takedown.
Yeah, this was the moment, right? Jasmine gets taken out first. Oh man, it's just really unfortunate for Nightmare.
This truly shouldn't have happened for Nightmare. If they, on hindsight, if they defended from the base and maybe even given away the T3 turret, it's okay. It's fine. They still have opportunity to come back.
They did. But once again, we're going 1-1 here. Gideon is back. Thoughts on game number 2?
Oh, thoughts. What can I say? Everything that we mentioned about weak points
Na
for both
epic
of these
pa,
teams
no?
really came to show, but I gotta give it on over to Zeta Division. These guys, they're throwing up the sign. Remember this. They're looking for tournament lives. But more importantly, that late game scaling is what saved them at the very end. Obviously, Diggy didn't look very good from early to mid, but then once Busuke was getting his items, and I gotta give it up, you saw the players down there, and they were even showing it to the cam. They were like, June 1, this guy just saved us the game. He carried them mid to late. He was the one that was turning these fights around.
If not for him, for just buying all that time. And when it comes down to tempo, it's always been the thing that I've been trying to say. June 1 needs to play heroes to lead them from early to mid. Play around their jungle, and as long as he's the one that's kind of like holding everyone's hand, let's go forward, it should be all right.
Big brother June 1. Just got to open up the way, open up those bushes, and maybe they'll turn things around. Honestly, I really thought that this Diggy was kind of troll. At first, I was like, nah. And then Nightmare played into it by locking in the Yiv, and I'm like, well, what is happening here? Why are we doing this? There's a lot more to discuss, but it just means that we're going to get that game number 3. The match is currently 1-1 between Nightmare Esports and as well as Zeta Division, looking to continue their run here at MSC's Wild Cards. We're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, it's going to be more Mobile Legends action.
2 minutes sana. Ayan, 2 minutes.
This land is calling.
Lahat tayong chika, guys.
the line. Only one team gets to move on. Will it be Zeta Division currently at match point, or Nightmare Esports who are also at match point? One game to determine who moves on here at the wild cards at the 2025 Esports World Cup in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. My name is Gideon Q, and we're taking a serious tone with this one because it's the very last match of the day, boys and girls. We've got Abstract as well as Eterna at the desk here. And I mean, everything that we talked about, the potential weaknesses that could be exploited, and worse yet, the bigger win conditions for Zeta reaching to that late game, for Nightmare closing out that game. How do we fix this at this point? Because we were talking this beforehand, Abstract. You're saying that, like, Nightmare, they look like their mentals have broken there after that one.
Honestly, if I'm in their shoes, I don't even know how I can mentally recover from that. This is rough on them, right? They were literally a sneeze away from being down that entire crystal, only for a random June 1 to come in between.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I'm surprised that Diggy got away in this game at all, considering that they had two ways of actually trying to make plays in team fights.
What did you think about the Diggy pick, by the way?
Honestly, I thought it was kind of, at the beginning, I thought it was kind of troll, and then it's like, all right. But I felt like Nightmare played into it with the Yves pick at the very end.
Yeah.
That could have been Chang'e for all intents and purposes. That could have been, like, arguably even a Kadita to a certain degree. I mean, it's personal opinion. I could definitely be wrong. We'll see how this meta continues to develop as we are now going to make our way into the draft. The final time we might see one of these teams, and it's stressful, very, very stressful, but I think...
Shrug it off.
We need to talk about adaptability as well as flexibility here. Eterna, I feel like Nightmare isn't as comfortable, like, adjusting on the fly compared to Zeta.
I agree. I think we saw that actually happening in the game, especially in game number 2. It was very apparent.
Very
right?
apparent.
They had one idea coming through. If it fails, it seems like they don't know what to do, and it feels like the way that they were able to play very neatly from the early game becomes really messy in the late game, right? With Jasmine getting picked off first. I think it's a mental thing. I have to agree with Abstract. I think this is one of the times where they're on an international stage. They're going against the very best of the best from their respective regions coming into the wild card, and they have to learn to reset.
Yep. For that game, if you're talking just from the draft, you mentioned about the Yves. The great thing about Yves, you keep people contained in the box, be it the slow or hitting the edge. But the moment that the Diggy comes in, none of that is affected. It feels as though Nightmare just like, you know what, screw it, let's just stick to our original draft and just play towards that lane. But in the meantime, for the Hayabusa, the moment they realize that opponents playing Ube, there's nothing that Hayabusa could do with his OG Shadow Kill anymore. He's trying to look for angles, but not really utilizing the entirety of the map and his mobility to play the macro game.
That's the thing. The tunnel vision seems to be very, very apparent for Nightmare, especially when it's like, we've tried it 2 times. It's like, one more. Third time's the charm. 17 minutes into the game. 8th time's the charm, guys. This time, I'm sure we'll be able to get a Sky Piercer stack somehow. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I totally agree with you. They should have played throughout the rest of the map. There was multiple opportunities for them to actually pull attention away and understand that, yes, neutral objectives are important, but it's not necessarily what's going to win you the game, right? So with missing inhibitors, and especially that scenario where it's like, you don't have to just take the Lord. You can kind of hold it hostage and threaten the base every single time. But coming into game number 3, do you think we're going to see this Diggy again? Because the biggest contention I've noticed so far has to be that Farsa.
To see the Diggy again? Probably not. But I think this entertaining kind of style from Zeta Division is definitely coming back to the 3rd game. As long as they're able to throw some curve ball, you know, it's not straight all the time.
Start
you gotta
now.
throw a curve. You're gonna drop the ball at any time and just be like, oh crap, what do I do as Nightmare?
When are we gonna see that fastball? We're gonna jump right into it. Nightmare Esports on the blue side, Zeta Division on the red side. Eterna, Abstract, good luck. Take this draft away.
Thank you so much, Gideon. We're going to game number 3. Once again, match point for both of these teams. And once again, we want to highlight how important these drafts are going to be. Will we be seeing another crazy kind of a scenario coming in from Zeta Division, or will we be seeing just the meta coming through? But it's also important to note that these two teams have actually opted to swap sides.
Now, what's the change-up? That is the question for the side of Zeta. I know that this is going to be super intense coming into this draft, but the teams, they're taking the time, they're making it slow, right? And that's completely understandable. I do want to break the air a little bit. Take a look at the player portraits. For this whole time, I always thought that every single one of these players have the same exact earrings.
They're boxes, aren't they?
Yes, there's boxes, but I thought that they were
I
earrings.
also thought they were earrings. I'm gonna be honest with you here.
High five.
Wow. All right. Okay. So, guys, those are boxes, by the way.
Those are boxes.
But coming back into the drafts here, once again, the Kalea will not see the light of day, and neither will the Wanwan. So, we've seen in the past 2 and now 3rd game that Nightmare has really big respect over for this YSS, and as well as towards, you know, the gold lane, the 1-1.
Let's not forget about the Uranus as well. Effectively every single game, game
You're
1
right.
and 2, Uranus is out. They just don't want to go and deal with June 1. In fact, I think from the previous game, they know that June 1 is exceptionally the exceptional player, the key player of the team. As much as possible, try to probably deny his picks if his picks are just not viewed or picked up in the first phase. Uranus has to be the 3rd ban here. If Nightmare don't ban the Uranus, I think that it's gonna be in the field of Zeta Division.
But we've seen that the Uranus kind of fall short. What is it?
They didn't ban the Uranus.
No, they didn't. They
But
banned out the Bruno instead.
Nightmare, they have first pick, but they have never had the opportunity to, or rather they have never picked Uranus first pick, even as first pick, first ban in their previous series.
So you don't think that they will pick it up here?
I don't know.
I mean, technically Zeta still have the opportunity to ban out the Uranus.
That is if Zeta thinks that they don't have the answer to an opponent's Uranus. Do they want to take the chance? I think that this is a very difficult choice to make. Zeta, do we want to risk it for the biscuit? Give the Uranus? Or don't give it?
Nope, they decide not to. They don't want to risk it. They don't want to take too many risks here in game number 3, where everything is on the line for them. Once again, an elimination match here, boys and girls. Now Nightmare have the pick of everything. Technically, Boxia is available if they want to go for that. Really good flex. We've seen the Boxia work out here and there. Technically, it did lose in the previous game, but still that flexibility is quite important.
Yes, the flexibility was definitely the way to go. But Jasmine needs to change the way he plays with that Boxia. Time and time again, he got caught, and it has always been the same layering of skills, right? The Frederick goes in, locks him down with a couple of knockups plus the taunt, and then the D holds him in place. They just gotta have to do this. Zeta just needs to draft the same thing, right? Having the Juicin available, this might just be a Juicin Fredrin pick if they really want to.
I think they can wait for the Fredrin. I mean, technically, the Boxia can still be flexed.
It's 2 flex, that's why. Do you, are you, would they rather be interested, or are they okay with the Fredrin going over to them?
I guess not.
Yeah.
You're right. Fredrin does get picked up here. So now Nightmare are caught in the position to try to answer this Jushin pick. I think, honestly, why would they not just pick up something like the Kimmy? Kimmy has better range against the Jushin, faster clear as well.
Yes, I think that that is going to be a direction that we can go for. The orthodox pick is a Kimmy, and with the very fact that they have a Boxer, perhaps they can kind of still keep that in the loop, right? So perhaps pick up a Kimmy as the mage, and then get an XP laner.
Unless
there we go.
Yes, Lapu Lapu gets picked up here, and the Kimmy. Okay.
They need to deny the Lapu Lapu from June 1 too. So as long as they are able to still make things ambiguous for their Boxia, and if they were to pick up the Kimmy, is also some ambiguity for that side too, because Kimmy can go gold.
Do we really want Kimmy to go gold though?
I'm not a big fan, but she hurts a lot.
She does, but it requires a lot of setup, I think, for the Kimmy to actually work. The Eureka thing that I had in my head earlier on was, would it be crazy if they went Angela here for Nightmare?
Angela for Nightmare. I think that is a viable option for both of them. So this can very potentially be an X factor coming in from both Nightmare and Zeta. If they want to further solidify the positioning or further solidify the prowess and the survivability of Jaspin, if he were to play as a Boxer, then at least the Angela can keep him alive and buy so much time and space.
That's true. They both can actually utilize it, flex it into roam, right?
Yes.
Technically, both teams already have picked up the mid laners, but let's ignore the Angela for a second here as we're getting to the second phase of the drafts. What bans are we looking for from the side of Zeta? Do they want to take away heroes like the Granger, the Iritel? Oh, there you go. Still Angela, all right.
Okay. He's decided to take the Angela out. I thought that perhaps they would want to do that instead, considering the fact that they have the final pick. But I think that because of the performance coming in from, who is that, VP, right? I think the performance from VP kind of made things a little bit too tough for them to let that go.
Because I don't think you can use Angela into the Boxia. That's the problem. Like, face value, the Fredrin can work with the Boxia, but if you utilize the Angela into the Boxia in the early stage as well, the anti-regen passive coming from the Boxia, I think, would render the Angela a little bit useless.
That's a good point as well, yeah. We may have saw a crazy combination between the Juicin and then Angela, but perhaps against a Boxia, that's probably a better choice to make. But right now, most of the jungles is actually open still for Nightmare because the Boxia could go roam, but in this case, gold laner might be the case. Might be the ban for Zeta.
Yeah, we're looking at heroes like Granger, Iritel.
Yep.
Do they really? Okay, Bruno's banned out, so that's not an option that they can go for.
Gusto naman mga ante. Tahimik nyo naman.
Iritel and who's that again? Granger. I'm sure the Nightmare will be happy with picking up a Granger for themselves if they really want to.
Play for the early game. I think it's possible, right? Really quick rotations. Put the Boxia in the roam. Kimmy also should be able to rotate quickly as well as compared to the Jushin in the early stage of the game. I think that's a warranted choice with the Matilda also banned out.
We're lacking of a roamer. We're lacking of an XP laner. I think Zeta definitely needs to get that picked out. They need to secure June's pick. Uranus, Gatokacha, Volvius, Badang roam. Okay.
Unless
I don't mind that because there's still flexibility in that.
Is this for Zeta? It's for Zeta, right?
For Zeta, yeah.
Technically, if they want to, they can still go for CC. Does the CC do well in lane against a Lapu Lapu?
I would say that she is not fabulous, not the most fabulous answer against Lapu, because Lapu don't have a very thick HP. He does, though, have very crazy healing potential.
Abstract.
Oh my goodness!
That's the chip! That's a chip debut here in the MSC Wild Cards. We were talking about this chip from even before this tournament
Ngayon lang may gumamit ng chip.
Finally, we get to see it come to play. But remember, the ceiling on this chip is incredibly high. You either do really well in terms of map control, or you do really, really bad, depending on how the communication is within the team.
Nitpicking though, why not leave the chip for the final pick? At least if they pick up a Badang, if they really want to go for that, then at least it will show like, hey, I've got a roamer down, so you don't have to be too afraid, kind of thing, right? And it's even gonna be a pretty good final pick because you are responding to a full draft from Nightmare. It further solidifies if whether, hey, chip is gonna be great here, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it would be really nasty, right, to have the Badang and the chip on the same side because you have ready to fight players coming through. And so Nightmare, they sniff that out real quick, right? They take away the Badang for themselves. It should be Badang roam. Granger gets picked up, like we mentioned earlier on, and then the Masha final pick in for Zeta.
Okay, so the pulled off the Masha pick going up against Nightmare, who they themselves also did the Masha. So now we're back to the same kind of problem where you lose in the XP, you potentially lose in the gold, because let's be honest here, based on statistics and facts, Muiminette has never won in his lane before.
I think if we're going back to the Masha point, I think it really depends. Again, we were thinking about ready to fight heroes, right? So the Badang came into mind, but the Masha can also replicate the same thing. So what if the Masha just clears, waits for the portal, and looks for pickups around the map? I think that's pressure that we might be looking at. As, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are ready. Elimination match 1 game away. Will Nightmare continue their journey here in the wild cards, or will it be the Japanese representatives in Zeta Division? Let's jump in to game number 3.
Both of the junglers is going to be starting onto their purple buff first. So Zeta Division have got a bit of emphasis over to the gold lane, while Nightmare Esports down to the XP. It does seem like we are having quite a bit of party here, as Jasmine by Lucy as well as ID has already shown themselves down at the bottom. No reason for the Chip to further involve himself, but it does seem like the middle lane Zeta Division is there first. So if they want to hit themselves up to the top lane, they can definitely do that.
See, I think taking a look at the emblems here, they are looking for that kind of strategy, right? Because if we're looking at it, that's Lethal Ignition. We also have the Assassin emblem coming through for June 1. So he's looking to one-shot. We'll see whether or not he'll be able to get to that point, because as it stands in the lane, it looks like Bai Lucy is having a little bit of a better time in controlling in these waves.
Bai Lucy can definitely clear out the waves a lot better. Well, in the meantime, June playing as the Masha have got very weak clears, and it's only on later on where he could just jump 3 times as every time she expended her HP bars, then we'll be able to see that kind of burst, right? Because June has picked up the Lethal Ignition, so he has one job only in the late stages of the game, and that is to burst the marksman. As long as they are able to take away Cammy, then all's well. That is their current structure, and that is their current game plan.
Cammy and I did. Both of them, right? Both of them are going to be problems in the late stage, which is why I think that's why they went, you know what? Let's just go for it. Let's just go for the Masha, because at some point they do need a way to kind of counter these 2 marksman heroes. But both teams already centering around the next neutral objective, the first one of the game, rather. It looks like it will be given over to Too Easy for Lexi for free.
They are not really interested dealing with Baxia's tankiness and, of course, the early game raw damage that the Baxia brings over to his kit. So Zeta Division, with their draft, they can kind of play things a little bit slowly. They don't have anything that plays that allows them to work out in the early stages. So as long as they kind of keep themselves afloat, they are gonna be fine, and both the Moskov and Masha can pop off online later on, roughly about 15 minutes into the game.
I agree. I think they just need to buy a little bit more time here for the rest of the members to get to that power spike. So meanwhile, Nightmare, they're the ones kind of on a ticking time bomb. Technically, they do have IDIT to kind of go into the later stage of the game, but because of the control that they have over the river, I think maybe play a little bit more aggressively, right? I think the idea of the invade was already great. But now it seems like Zeta are the ones that are rotating a lot quicker.
They do have got the chip. So as much as possible, if the chip wants to be at the top lane or the bottom lane, he can definitely do all of that. June is actually taking this fight pretty well, putting Bai Lucy in the tough spot. Kani rushes right in, pops off the shortcut. Everyone came in. This is a whole family in here. However, is going to be following up with the traction pulse. Jasmine just going to be putting June right into the coffin.
All right, a 1-for-1 trade from that particular skirmish. June 1 for Bai Lucy earlier on. Unfortunately, that kill went over to IDID, so I think it's a little bit more worth it for NM in that particular trade.
I would say it's still relatively equal, since June himself also wants farm, right?
Yeah.
So practically nothingness. Whatever that they have got for each other is pretty much nothing. It's mostly all about what we have throughout the map, because right now Nightmare have got a well under 1,000 goal lead against Zeta Division. Perhaps this turtle is going to tell us a little bit more of a story, as it is going to be a completely uncontested turtle.
Yeah, they're not going for it at all. They're leaving it completely wide open for Nightmare to take for themselves. Zeta Division looking to play around the EXP lane a lot more. I think you're right here. We do see that there is rotations coming in from Nightmare here towards the bottom side of the map, but June 1 already got a little bit of gold there from that shield turret.
Slow and steady is going to be the name of the game for Zeta Division. Too Easy for Lexi picks up the very first item, being the blade armor. So that is definitely something that will help him against such a physical-sided draft, right? Both the Moskov and the Masha.
Meanwhile, we do see another thing happening here. Thunderbelt already secured in for Jasmine. Just a little bit more regeneration, a little bit more adaptations coming through if they do go in for yet another team fight. Cammy in this 1v1. I don't know if Cammy knows Kani is there, but oh, he does. He spots him out.
Did
He's
he
playing
hit?
it safely.
Yeah. Both teams, it feels as though both teams have got a very similar power spike, actually. The only thing that I'm really afraid of is the potential of Lucy, right? When he pops off, is definitely going to be scary, right? But the fact that Too Easy for Lexi is unable to take control or the reins of this game in the early stages, because that is just what's great about Abaxia, right? The possibility of early game invasions with the mobility that you have for yourself. He does have well over 500 gold lead on top of the Fredrin though, but it's not big enough for them to make an impact.
This is a very interesting game, isn't it?
Interestingly slow.
Interestingly slow. I think both teams are really afraid of making a mistake.
As such, it's going to be Jasmine finding himself in the top spot. As such, he will be able to get himself away. But in the meantime, the speed of destruction will have the Cammy, allowing Junwan to pop him off. Idid is also going to be the next one down for the count. This is one entire family that just decided to take the portal up to the top lane.
And that's a chip power coming through. Jasmine going to be the next one on the chopping block.
As it doesn't seem like Jasmine is able to stay alive. Too easy for Lexi. Why did you come in? Maybe he will be able to get a kill on the Muay Minette, but he missed it. He still manages to get a kill on down the Muay Minette though. But right now, Too easy for Lexi takes a double.
No way, you're not supposed to be able to get away with that. That was a 1v3 kind of situation. We thought that was a blunder.
Yeah.
But Too Easy made that kind of equal for them. Granted, Zeta was still able to pick up the turtle. Wait a second, Suke.
Yeah, jumping on the Fiske, bringing him down. A good taunt down onto Idid, almost being able to do enough damage onto Idid. I think that this is a lot more about a mental game for Nightmare Esports. They were afraid the whole time. Only when Too Easy for Lexi took those 2 kills up top, he's just thinking, hey, wait, I have a lot of damage. What am I afraid of?
Morale is up.
Took middle.
Exactly. Morale is up now for Nightmare Esports. As we take a little look into the items. 2 items already built in for Muay Minette though. One away from that trifecta that is needed, the Swift Trinity.
Look, the movement is completely different now. They're so much more aggressive.
That's true.
They're showing confidence.
Too easy. What's the call here? Waiting for the clear here. I think they're trying to bait out a push potential coming out from June 1.
Huh? Did I pick up a roam boots? I think I did. Wait.
It's 8 minutes.
Maybe it's just visual. Perhaps it's just visual.
It could be, right? Because usually we do see some swaps in the room.
Meron siyang room.
With the icon as well.
I think if they fall far behind, that's something that is usually done. We can actually ask Gideon, I think, to break that down a little bit further later along the line. But we have seen that before. We've seen it a lot in MPL ID. That's a concealed play.
They did get 4 room
Nightmare
boots.
Esports.
They did get 4 room boots. But hold on a second. It does seem like we do have Kani coming on over to the back line. So this shotgun is just going to be popped right at the backside. Cammy finds himself going to be taken down. Idid is just going to be holding himself on over to the backside. So it doesn't seem like things are going to be great for her though. But Piske finds himself taken down. Jun is still looking for an opportunity though. 10 as long as Muay Minette realizes, hey, look, this is not our fight to take. Let's back off now.
2-for-2 trade from both sides. Wait a second, June 1.
Too easy for Lexi. He's going to be the funnel of this team. The entirety of Nightmare Esports bought themselves roam boots, and the funnel will entirely go over to the Baxia. Even Cammy.
Let's hope the items come out so we can actually verify that. There it is.
Every single one of them has it.
You're right.
It's only the Baxia that have the jungle boots.
Because usually we see either, you know, the gold lane pick it up or even the mid lane pick it up, but this is all 4.
I would understand XP laner picking it up because they want to funnel it over to the gold lane, or the mid laner. He's like, oh look, I'm a pause 4, not a pause 3. Let me just give it to the pause 3 and just allow someone else take it like the SP laner. But in the meantime, by Lucy jumps himself over to the back lines. Muiminet taking some free shots, but unfortunately, I think his positioning is a little bit tough. As too easy for Lexi will drive himself right in his face, getting himself a killing spree. This is actually pretty gonna be big. By Lucy finds himself taken down. Aiden is gonna be the next one down as well, as Jasmine just flickers himself forward, getting a kill down onto Aiden.
3-4-3 trade so far, but it looks like they're still looking to gain some more here. Suke goes in for the control over to Too Easy for Lexi, but misses. The Lord is still going to be given over to Nightmare Esports, but unfortunately, with so many members taken down, the big question is, will they be able to extract the utmost potential from this Lord take?
I would say that this is likely concerning if they want to funnel all the farm over to the Baxia. How long would his power spike be, even if he gets all these items? He can be really tanky and all, but I worry for Cabby. We'll see how that goes. Maybe survivability is more important for everyone else, or rather survivability is more important for Baxia in order for them to win this game. As middle lane, T1 finds himself taken down, and Kani has been spotted out. Traction Pulse didn't land.
Either or, right? Too Easy for Lexi is what, 2 levels ahead of 10? So when it comes down to neutral objective contest, and in this particular regard, the Lord, Zeta Division are falling quite behind. Should not be able to go for the contest unless they are able to wait a second.
It's gonna be 10, soaking up quite a bit of damage. SOD lands over to the back line. Piske is actually in a very, very aggressive spot. Kani taking a little bit too much damage. Pops out a shortcut, only for Kani to be taken down at this point in time. The Appraiser's Wrath unfortunately wasn't able to do too much, but he will at least stay alive. Aiden's down. Muiminet managed to catch that 1 kill, as now Zeta Division, they're moving on forward.
Yes, and they're going to be able to still defend the base as well, not losing a single inhibitor turret with 3 members down in the ground. Despite everything, despite Zeta Division falling behind, it's only a 1,000 gold difference, Abstract. So at this point in the game, I still think that this can sway either way.
It actually might go towards the side of Zeta Division a little bit better. How are they going to do this? So if they're trying to get income, you know what? I'll just let Nightmare Esports play this out. We do have Granger that can farm pretty effectively in lane, so even with that, with the roam boost, it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's mostly about the passive income that will go over to the side of for the members. That is more or less all.
If we're looking at the damage dealt rankings here, we can see the top 3 there, and I think Muiminet was able to get his hands on an additional item, the Malefic Gun, already in his arsenal. Gonna have a little bit more range to play with, more so in these team fights, which I think will be very important, because we saw in that previous skirmish the fact that he was able to jump into the back line, take Idit down. I think that was huge for Zeta Division to come back in this game 13 minutes in. The Lord finally has spawned in the Land of Dawn. 10 is catching up, level 14, but he is still a level below of Too Easy for Lexi. So how are they going to play this?
I think that Muiminet is more or less online at this point. June 1,
yeah.
I gotta have to look up for him if whether he's got more than enough burst to realistically be able to do anything to Cammy, or I did. He's currently disappeared from the map. He's not going to be showing himself down at the bottom just yet. Nightmare poses himself for this dance against the Lord.
Oh, that's a spear.
It's going to land. The Lord is currently still not going to go anywhere just yet, as now June 1 flicker straight into the eyes of Aiden. Slammed right down. There's nothing that Akimi could possibly do. Cammy is still alive only until now. Exactly what they wanted from June, to snap right onto these 2 marksmen. And what's left? It's gonna be the frontliners of Nightmare Esports.
That's exactly what the Masha was built for, and that's why Kani was standing so patiently in that top side of the map. They're gonna go all in here, 3v2, and look how much damage Muiminet is doing into this. Can they look for an end here?
They might potentially be able to, or maybe not, because Aiden is coming out right now. The fist break and fist crack pushes Zeta Division away.
But remember, the Lord is still marching in favor of Zeta Division, right? These players are going to be coming back, and remember, Zeta Division still has the chip. They can still utilize the portal to bring the players where they want, when they want. So, with the additional range that, of course, Nightmare Esports have, they should be able to clear this, unless unless they find a big play here.
Good macro game from Zeta Division. They have got the masher all the way out the top lane with a taunt down onto Lexi. While Muiminet suffers a bit from the traction pulse. Not going to be a problem though. At least we've gotten all of the T2 turrets that is destroyed. Zeta Division slowly inches their way to victory.
2 waves are crashing. That's a big wave as well on the top side of the map. I think Zeta Division are playing this really smart.
As the portal goes over to the backside, where I'm trying to look for exactly where Junwan is, but it doesn't seem like anyone on the backline is going to be bursted down just yet. Too easy for Lexi. Crashes down onto Junwan. The amount of damage is a little bit too much for him to handle.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult for them to look for the siege, right? Because technically Zeta Division have a composition that works when Nightmare are out of their base. But if Nightmare Esports keep playing like this, if they turtle in their base, they have so much high ground defense, right? They have IDID, they have Cammy for that range as well. And Zeta Division technically don't have any tools to work with if they want to look for that groundbreaking play, except for the chip, which the chip doesn't really work like a Luo Yi, you know?
Yeah. But the thing is, it allows the macro play for Junwan. He can push the waves however he wants. He can put a lot of that macro game. But the most important thing is that Junwan, the problem about the masher is that he needs to run to the marksman. But if we have Chip, for example, conceal himself, jumps out of the back lines, drop the shortcut, that is a free passageway for a masher to get closer to these marksmen.
But I think that still, again, only works when they go around the next neutral objective.
Yes.
So that's something that Zeta Division has as an advantage over Nightmare Esports, considering they not only have the chip, but they also have the Moskov to play around.
Yes.
Right? So much options, so many tools that they can utilize to make this Lord dance in their favor, and not to mention, Zeta Division have control over the far lane because Nightmare Esports don't have that inhibitor turret on the opposite end of the Lord.
That's definitely a bummer. There's not a lot of things that Nightmare Esports can realistically do because they don't have that kind of cross-map play hero, except for Too Easy for Lexi.
Yeah.
But do you really want to throw your Baxia down to the bottom lane to clear waves? Because Zeta Division, they have a Moskov. This guy will blitz down the Lord right as you blink.
Exactly. It's so many tools on the side of Zeta Division, and Too Easy, he needs to be in the vicinity to be able to take this Retribution down. This time it's going to be a 50-50. Too Easy already at level 15. That's a Lord already at half health. Who's going to be able to pick it up?
Oh no. The Lord is ready now at 14,000 HP. They will try to go for this. Attraction Pulse is not going to hit anyone. PSK currently being just locked down by Jasmine, allowing the kill down for the Cammy. But then he actually manages to get a kill down to the Cammy, and it does seem like Ten is going to be the next one onto the block as by Lucy brings him down almost immediately.
Grabe, lusog si ano.
This is a losing fight coming in from Zeta Division.
A huge loss. Oh my lord, Nightmare is
Solo lang ba niya kanina?
control here. But they still don't go for the base as soon as possible, right? They have to control the lanes that were still crashing in favor of them. They don't go for the Lord?
No.
Are they going for the straight push here with just one minion?
I think so. They gotta have to tank this quite a lot, right? Bai Lucy needs to tank every single one of these shots, but doesn't they still have it. As now Bai Lucy is just making sure, Kani is just making sure that they will not be able to recall back home, but never mind, because there is still a portal coming from Kani. They need to do whatever that they can to ensure that Jasmine as well as Jasmine and Bai Lucy will go down right now. As long as they're down, they are completely staggered, and it is a free evolved Lord for them to take.
Why did they do that? Why did they go for that decision? Why didn't they just commit over onto the Lord? Why go for the mix there? They know that Zeta Division has a hero like a Chip.
There's a lot of angles of attack for Zeta Division in that as well, right? Because Junwan was also making his way down in the bottom lane. They have effectively managed to pull IDID down. They managed to pull someone down all the way home to deal with it.
Unfortunate loss, either way. Unfortunate loss. That should have been Nightmare Esports Lord to have, and now Zeta Division once again hold control over the Lord.
Evolved Lord.
Evolved Lord. 19 minutes have already elapsed. We're looking at these items, and they're already at full. We have Wind of Natures left and right. Nightmare Esports, they should have the arsenal to kind of stave off this pressure. Once again, they do have the high ground, but with no inhibitor turrets, Let's see what Zeta Division is about.
They're looking for an opening. Zeta Division, as long as the portal jumps over to the back lines, allowing Jun to get himself onto Cammy, that's the thing. By Lucy's HP is already dropped all the way through. Everyone is just going to be coagulated together as such.
Uy,
The
sakit,
front line,
sakit na lang.
By Lucy as well as I did. They're all down. Zeta Division!
Oh!
And they keep themselves in the MSC wildcards.
A reverse sweep from the Japanese region here. Zeta Division holding on to their strength, holding on to everything that they have, holding on, believing in one another to keep their tournament lives still here. Moving forward to the next chapter here at the MSC Wildcards. And unfortunately for Nightmare Esports, Mekong, thank you so much for the fight up until this point. Thank you so much for the journey, the strive. But unfortunately, we will have to say goodbye to Nightmare Esports here at the MSC Wildcards 2025.
Let's take a moment and of course thank By Lucy. Too easy for Lexi. I did.
Laglag Nightmare.
For their time here in MSC.
Pwede naman. Uy, grabe ka ate.
And right now, we celebrate the victory of Zeta Division.
Bibigyan mo ba akong pet?
Wow. I thought it was going to be heartbreak from game number 1, seeing them lose in that fashion, right? It was a victory that we thought that maybe Nightmare might just be the better team, but game number 2, game number 3 told a completely different story. They weren't afraid as well to experiment with the drafts, with the chip coming in game number 3, with the Diggy coming through in game number 2 as well. This is a statement coming through from Zeta Division that, hey, we're not just utilizing the meta, we're not just strangers to everything else. We also have a set of cards that we will utilize, and we have a strategy of our own.
This is kind of scary, isn't it? All of these, we have Ube and then a chip that join in, and Nightmare have got no answer. They don't know what is in front of them. They definitely try to do something of their own, popping off all of those roaming boots just for themselves. In the event that anyone is too far behind, they get themselves a passive income, not only to the roamer and all, but in this case, I guess it's just kind of tough because remember, whenever you buy the roam boots, you just kind of starve yourself out from the initial 5 minutes.
Yeah, I actually want to know what that was all about because I don't think I've seen that.
I only believe it's passive income for whoever is fourth, right? Fourth on, on the 5th on the gold chart, right? From the team, but not all of them, especially not the gold laner. That's not something that I myself know about.
Huh. I think we can ask Gideon here. What?
Throw the ball right at him.
Four roam boots?
Hey, when you throw I catch, the 4 roam boot strategy was developed 3 years ago. The main idea of having 3 roam boots, if not most of the time, as we've seen MPL ID, PH, as well as MY, picking up roam boots for your side laners.
Yeah.
Abstract, you're absolutely correct. It always goes to the person with the least amount of gold. It is passive EXP and as well as gold. But here's the kicker. When you're getting it towards the 8th minute of the game, the active of the passive, the active of the blessings of the roam boots usually only applies specifically towards your supports, your roamers. They've probably already activated it at that point of time, while the rest of the members will look to activate it later if the game drags out long enough, but mainly through assist, because assist gold also contributes to the active stack. Well, is it really called stacking? I wouldn't call it stacking.
I wouldn't call it stacking.
Towards unlocking the active ability. Sometimes it's concealed. Most people go for the passive routes. In this case, when we look at the items, we do see that at least for Cammy, he was going for the dire hit because he's got CC. It's the only way to proc it. But now we look at today's schedule, a full sum up of everything that has happened here at the Wildcards. At the very beginning, Rare Adam moves on with their 2-0 victory against Legion Esports. Falcons, unfortunately, dropping.
Di sila aware dun sa 8 minutes na roam.
Also dropping 2-1 against Virtus Pro, and Zeta Division with a reverse sweep against Nightmare Esports, who we have to say goodbye to. Our hearts go out to them, but Zeta Division moves on to the tournament. The nature of the competition gets more intense and the clutch factors are kicking in. I'm glad to see that Zeta Division, they stayed zen. They stayed peaceful, they stayed balanced, even though they were pushed right to the very edge of the cliff.
I have but one question.
Yes, sir.
Ian. Do you think it was mental?
Do I think it was mental? I think that... Look, if you really want to get my thoughts on this game after watching years of professional gameplay, oh boy,
that's the thing.
I probably get kicked off a broadcast faster than you can probably put a sentence together. But generally, based on what we are seeing, we're talking about potential. And I think Zeta Division, they know how to push buttons, but more so, they're a lot more flexible than what we initially thought, and better yet, they do not crumble under the pressure. Nightmare, unfortunately, we could see in all three of those games, when things don't go their way, gets a little dicey. That's something that they're going to have to learn. And it sucks because they're technically the veteran ones.
Yep. Well, that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Yeah, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Hey, with that being said, we are coming towards the closure of the day. How you guys feel about day number 2 of the wildcards? Because for me, I'm definitely seeing that some of these competitors are starting to realize that this is a harder tournament than what most people imagine.
Honestly, yeah, I would absolutely agree. When it comes to wildcards, all I'm thinking of is there is going to be a huge disparity with some of these teams, especially teams that, for example, Zeta Division, they have been absent in the MLBB ecosystem for the longest time. I thought that Zeta Division will be like, okay, they're going to be so behind. But no, they knocked out Nightmare.
I think despite the disparity of levels, I think what I'm looking at is more just like the progression of these teams after just a day, right? We've seen a lot of teams improve, adapt. I think Virtus Pro as well in that particular game was very... it was really
Gulat sila, palo-palo ang ano. Zeta. Zeta ba ang tawag din?
Their matches today within games have been quite impressive. So I like that you mentioned it. We're looking at potential here, and there's definitely potential, and hopefully for the next few days we will.
So yun guys, good night. Salamat sa mga tumabay.
Over here for the wild cards.
For sure. I mean, day 2, I was expecting a lot of potential for these teams. We got
Bye bye.